Let me go and get my notes out first. Actually, all the notes and recordings are being posted already, huh? We will definitely, I think we'll definitely go beyond 11 later, lah. So we'll take another round of attendance later, huh? So what we're going to do today is essentially just finishing up, because there's going to be 2 lectures that's supposed to finish at 2 o'clock. And I don't think, as usual, I will be able to go on for more than 4 hours. So what we're going to do is try to finish up before 12, and then after that, within these 4 hours, what I'm going to do with you is to finish up the contractual matters. All the contractual matters are anything that we need to sort out for the contractual matters, we will sort it out. And also, we will go through your assignment with you, like because your assignment is mainly based on contractual matters. So if there's anything you need me to look at for your assignment, the individual assignment, I will take a look for you. We will spend some time on that with you, and then after that we'll move on to dispute resolution. Okay, we'll cover as much as we can for dispute resolution. But for adjudication, there's a part on adjudication. I will give you pre-recorded lecture, and that one will not be very long as well. That one, the whole thing about adjudication is maybe about 50 to 60 minutes or so. All right, so that one I'll post it up next week. Next week is the end of the whole semester. So after next week, you need to worry about exams already. So your exam is only 2 weeks from now, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, actually, which is going to happen on Sunday. For us, it's going to happen on Sunday, I believe. Yeah. But I haven't received the final schedule from Prof. Lim yet, so we will see. But at the moment, I did request for 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Finish at 11, and then some people will go on for the afternoon exams. I think for this particular program, you all like to do it like all squeezing in the weekend. So that people who are doing part-time, they can come one go, and then finish up one go. And the people who are doing full-time can actually come here and finish up one go, you see. So that's why they squeeze everything into the 2 days. Any papers they have is like one morning, one afternoon, one morning, one afternoon sort of things. Yeah. So yeah, that is how we're going to set up our lecture today. And then, of course, the last 20 minutes or half an hour, we will go through your exam papers with you and see if we can help you as much as we can for the exams. So I think for those of you who are planning to leave a little bit while for now, make sure that you are back at 11. Okay, after 11, make sure that you're back for 11 for the QR code, and also at that hour we most likely will be going through the exam papers already, Okay. Any issues? Anything you want me to stop here and ask me or anything like that?
No,
right.
Doctor.
Okay, so now let me share my notes. Again, I always turn it to minimize, and then I forgot to share my notes. What is going on? Okay, now this is called sharing notes, okay? All right, so we have gone through valuation of variation, and then accessing the site. These are all matters that is not fully can be lumped under the category of time, cost, and quality. So therefore, we have a separate 4 sessions, which is definitely more than 4 sessions. It's going to be usually I will take about 5 sessions to finish up everything, okay? So this is the 5th sessions that we have on contractual matters. So what happened, like I said before, this is contractual matters. Contractual matters is for any, we are basing on any engineering contract here. Engineering contract does not mean, does not include sales and purchase agreement between the developer and the house owner or the building owner, okay? And it does not include also maybe some developer with landowner or client with some their own agreement with some other people, okay, regarding the projects. So those are not within the scope of our discussion. Mainly, the whole thing is focused on an engineering contract here, which we talk about every element in the engineering contract. I mean, like as many elements as we can cover in the engineering contract. Okay, so this is from the appointment of a supplier, service provider, and also a contractor or a builder, all the way to the person, that group of people completing the job, handing over the job to you, moving into defect liability period, etc., etc. So these are the engineering contract that we're talking about. And let's say I have to cater for various people from various industry in a way. Because some of you are not exactly civil engineers, but most of you are working for construction, so that makes life a little bit easier. Okay, so what we have is essentially what is typically in any engineering contract. So if you pick up subcontract agreement with the contractor, you probably see about the same thing. If you pick up a service contract or a maintenance contract or a full blast construction contract or a mechanical installation contract, service providing contract, so it's probably similar. It will have to cover all these things, okay? Recently, I have met with a very interesting case, actually. Some people approach me. I mean, I'm not supposed to be talking about all these things here, but I mean, this is a teaching kind of thing, so I don't mind sharing a little bit, but not mentioning things in full detail. We're talking about a contract that does not properly have time to it. It's a very interesting thing. I think the lawyers who have previously drafted the contract was many, many, many years back. And it was a very, very simple contract, and then they did not include time in the contract. So that has become a very specific point of argument. So what we can say that is, as you move into your career, make sure that when you read a contract, these are the typical things that are covered in a contract. If such a thing like time, like working program, like schedules, the reasons for EOT are not stated clearly, the amount of LAD are not being stated clearly, or it's very unreasonable. The term suspension of work terms are not being stated very clearly, under what situation, under what procedures, terminations are not stated properly, or valuation. That is another way. Another very gray area is valuation of the variation. What is considered as variation? All these things are actually, it has to be covered in the contract. And then what is payment procedures? How can you claim? What can you make payments for? And all that. It has to be there, in an engineering contract. And time has to be in an engineering contract. So covering up and all these things have to be in engineering contract, and making good has to be in an engineering contract. So what we are trying to cover with you is these are the elements that you should see in most engineering contract to make it a very valid contract. So if you do have missing points in this contract, there is going to be quite room for dispute later. And there may also be times that, somebody can bring this contract to court and say that there is a mistake in the contract and the contract is incomplete. There are some missing points here that we fail to recognize. And it could also be a misrepresentation that you're giving, both sides are having two wrong impression of one another. Then you can make this contract void, you see. So you can null it, you see. So, and you don't want that, you see. Like, let's say you are halfway through a contract, you know, like you as a contractor, or you as a client, halfway through a contract, and somebody comes to you. I mean, like the other party comes to you and says, "Oh, there's no contract at all in the first place. I'm going to court because the contract has a mistake, and you know, we want to null it." You know, so then halfway through, you're already doing a job. You know, like what you're going to do about this, you see. So it's going to be very complicated processes that is going to be taking a long time to resolve. It can take up to years to resolve these sort of things, you see, because I'll explain in dispute later. If you go to court, essentially, it is not a matter of life and death. It's not a matter of huge economic losses. Generally, it's going to be a very slow process, you see. And knowing our legal systems, you know, like knowing our legal system is also very important. That the first class that I gave you, don't be because that one don't have exams, then you guys are going to ignore it completely. Essentially, you need to know the legal systems and how it functions and all that, and then also the order of the court, and how our dual systems comes in and all that. So, I mean, like Malaysia, we're basing our legal system on the dual systems. You see, so you know we it's not a one straight set of law. You know, so here you've got customary law, you've got like Sharia law and all that. So which is going to be in conjunction with the rest of the law. And I also need to really understand the order of the court as well. Like, you know, how sometimes when you go to court, and then after you lost the case, you need to appeal, you know, the Court of Appeals, High Court, and then come back to the Court of Appeals again, you know, and all that. So, yeah, so it's essentially you need to really learn to understand all this. So, yeah, so what we're saying is make sure that you know, these are the things that you should take note in your contract. And of course, we cannot really give you the detail and saying, oh, how to value exactly, you know, what are the time involved exactly, what is the payment period exactly, what is the processing period of interim claim exactly, you know, how much you need to recover and all that. But the clauses should be there, but the detail of it is different from contract to contract. Let's say you have a very specific contract that is drafted by the client with the contractor. They may have a specific legal team to draft the contract. Like, for example, Unimas is an organization. Many times when people want to enter into a contract with us as a research contract or whatever, we have our own format. So we have our own terms and conditions and format that the other party will take a look and they have to agree, or if they disagree, they can bring it up for discussion. Yeah, but the format, the final format is usually the final format and the final things that are written there are actually all under Unimas as an organization. So many organizations like SEB, you know, and a bigger organization like maybe Setia, SP Setiaka, you know, all these big group, big listed company, they may have their own contract format or contractual format, but those format, you know, on the other hand, people who are executing it, people who are actually using it, people who are actually in the contract with them needs to know what is considered as correct, what is considered as not correct, you know, and what is considered as there, what is considered as not there, you know, and what is considered as the points in there, so that you are fully aware of the situation. Yeah. So this is what we aim to cover now. We have to remember because MQA came and they say box cost is not wide enough for all engineers, but maybe because they didn't really look at the content of the course very well because of the period of time that they have with us. So we are trying to tell them that, you know, like what we're covering here are specifically what is supposed to be in a engineering contract, you know, and then that, because there's so many different professions that can be in working in engineering industry, such as, you know, QS, BTech, technologies, you know, manufacturing, mechanical, electrical, electronics, you know. So we do have a lot of people that can be in this engineering industry. So we also cannot put down and say that I sit down and cover a mechanical contract and sit down and cover electronic contract and sit down and cover a civil contract. It's not possible. This is the best way to execute this course already at the moment. Okay, right. Okay. So yeah. So this thing here, like we have gone through more than half of it. Remedials, when we talk about remedials, is essentially what can the other party do? What can the other party do if the other party are not executing their duty carefully? Okay. Can you hold on a second? You hold on a second. Let me get something. Okay, sorry. I'm back. Yeah. Uh, because I'm trying to get my daughter up because she has dancing later on. Yeah. So if I don't get her up, she's gonna sleep until tomorrow morning. Yeah. It's like that, huh? Kids. Okay. Right. So suspension. So yeah, we're talking about remedials. Remedials is about, like, let's say if the other party did something wrong in the contract or did not fulfill their obligations, So what is it that the other party can do? I think that is the spirit of the contract, lah. Huh? If a contract is only there to talk only, like, oh, you buat apa, I buat apa, you buat apa, I buat apa, tapi there's no punishment attached to it. So law is always that kind of thing. That there is some form of remedial, some form of like help yourself, help others, along the way to gain back what you lost, and then or what the wrong that is being done to you, what kind of justice that you can get at the end of the day, you see. So remedial is the same thing, LAD is one type of remedial, and that is time-based remedial. Loss and expenses is also remedial. So as long as if the other party actually did something wrong or request for something, and then they have to sort of like give an equal kind of like a return back to you, you see. It's like, if I do not fulfill the time, I mean, like, sorry, if I'm to do this work, this is my return. You see, like the return is in terms of payment. So if I did not do this, what is it that I can do? From the other, I mean, at the other party standing point of view, what is it that I can do to save myself, to help myself, so that I am not being treated unfairly or being stuck in a contract that is never ending, for example. Yeah. So remedial is a very important element. So every contract must have remedial, and suspension of work is definitely also, I wouldn't say it's a remedial. Okay, I mean, suspension of work it can happen when there's no fault of any party involved, such as natural disaster, and such as, like, the other day the Dubai was flooding, and then you've got Indonesia, the volcano just erupted, what's happening with this world, and then up there in somewhere up there in Middle East and Europe, there are some people that are trying to fight off their one another, try to kill off one another. So it's like all these things are actually considered as a disaster, disaster that is cannot be helped by a lot of people. Okay, disasters can be man-made, but it also can be man-made that is not done by us, not done by the people involved, but man-made as in, some other people are having a war there, and then you are being affected, and then beginning of last, I mean, 2 years back, we're still having this. I mean, until now, we're still having the Ukraine war. These are not, we Malaysia are like so far away, and we didn't involve in that. We didn't involve in the quarrel. It's nothing that we are involved in, but yet we are all affected. See, our work are all affected, and yeah. So natural disaster, like, it's Indonesia, it's Dubai, but somehow we are affected as well. So these sort of natural disaster or natural disasters that happen right at our front door, such as a pandemic, all these are unnatural thing or God of God, basically, Strike. Strike is also one of them. In a lot of countries, there's a lot of strikes going on, meaning that there's a lot of trade unions that have a lot of power over the industry, and such as maybe the train driver, the tram driver, the lorry driver, trade union, some workers or carpenters or bar vendors union and all that, steel makers union. These people sometimes are very, very strong. So they are always going around having strike, trying to fight for better rights for the people who are under their union. That is their job. See? So when that happens, some jobs are suspended, meaning that they will stop working for 3 days, 5 days, it happens very frequently overseas, actually. And they will tell the owner and also the public that they will be stopping work from which day, now at 12 o'clock, all the way down to 3 days later, and all that, upon negotiation of the conditions and all that. So that could happen. So then what can we do when that happens? Yeah. And of course, remedial can also be something that the owner and also the contractor can use, when the other party are not doing something. This is like the intermediate thing, to reduce the pain. It's like taking Panadol, So it do not really cure your thing, but then it is something for you to have a relief for a moment. If the contractor are not working very diligently, but what do you mean by working diligently? There is another question there. That you have proven to them that you have, if that guy is not working diligently, then you can suspend the work, okay, to warn him, okay, that if you do not do this, and the next step will be termination. Okay, and or the other thing is the contractor doing something, or the builder doing something, or the service provider doing something, but not up to standard. So when this is more frequent than they are not coming to site. If they're not coming to site, I'm pretty sure they'll be very happy if you just continue to suspend the work, you see. But in that case, normally when you suspend it, it's supposed to be looking for the next contractor already. This is like in the process of termination already. But if we talk about quality of work, such as the contractor not doing the work according to the specs or according to the certain standard, then you call for suspension. This is for you to check, have a period of time that maybe you can check what is missing and what is not good, and to come up with a list and then renegotiate and all that with the service provider. So these are typical things that can happen for client to suspend the work. Okay, and then of course for contractor is usually no payment. I've been working here very diligently, doing the job and all that, and then now you're not paying me. And when you're not paying me, I have to stop work. Is this stop work? That is suspension. I'm not terminating my contract yet, but I'm just suspending my work so that you are ready to pay me. Until you're ready to pay me, then we talk again. Okay? So these are some of the reasons. So these are something like a remedial as well. See, so if the other party are not doing something, and the other and this guy, or one of the party are not doing their job, or not doing their responsibilities, are not carrying out their obligations properly. Okay, so and of course, suspension of work revolves around a lot of procedures as well. It's not as simple as writing a lawyer letter and throwing people something in the face and say that I'm going to suspend your work, or not simple as in writing a letter, and tell the contractor or tell the client that I'm suspending the work, up until what period of time. So I mentioned last week very clearly to you all that suspension of work actually involves a lot of procedures, a lot of procedures. And we have to bear in mind that suspension of work is not actually statutory, meaning that there's no law that covers that suspension of work. It's basically in a contract. So if your contract don't have suspension of work, you have to be very careful when you try to execute suspension of work. Okay. But if it's there, if there's a clause there, usually those clauses, they only give right to the client to suspend the work, and not so much of a contractor to suspend the work. So for contractor who choose to suspend the work, you have to be ready for consequences that they say that you're not working with due diligence, and that you are delaying the schedule, and then they may charge you for EOT late. I mean, they will not give you EOT later because you suspend the work, and then now you cannot finish the work. Okay. So what the client side may come back and bite you and say that you have not been working with due diligence. Is number one. And number two, you have delayed the project, and then we're not giving you extension of time, and then they will charge you LAD. You see, so these are the strategy to bite back normally, from the client side. Okay, so but all suspension of work will always revolve around how to revive the work later. And then how to sit down and negotiate, like how to do work revival. And I've mentioned to, I think you guys last week as well, that, revival bit is very difficult. It's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, you see. When you suspend the work over a period of time, when you pick it up, there will be issues like repair, like damages, like things are being stolen, and wear and tear, These are quite common. And then how do you deal with backs in time, especially that 6 months, that's a 6 months period, you have a suspension for 6 months up. And then when you want to revive the work, do you really, would you give extension of time? And what sort of extension of time would you give, you see? So you cannot give 6 months, that's definitely. You suspend the work for 6 months, you cannot give 6 months, okay? Time can pick up again at that point in time, but there will be some form of negotiation for extension of time. And what about loss and expenses? Would there be any form of loss and expenses that comes in? Because I was, used to suspend the work, and then now I have to come back, and supposed to be today I've already finished my work. I can move on to a new site, and then demobilize and move on to the new. Because of the work suspension, I'm here. I'm delayed for another 3 months. I'm delayed for another 6 months. How do I get loss and expenses payment? Do I get loss, and can I claim for loss and expenses? You see, so again, it's not as simple as you guys shout and say that I want to throw you suspension of work. You see, it's not like that. There's going to be a lot of back issue to work out, And if you're not going to revive the job, and then what are you going to do? You're going to be terminating the job. You see, so terminating the job means what? It's going to be, then there's going to be a lot of things that involves termination now. Okay, so remember, contractually, normally what we see is the rights of suspension is usually in the hands of a client, not so much in the hands of a contractor, unless it's being specified very clearly in the contract that both sides can do suspension. But these sort of things, sometimes when it comes to very, very legal fine point, coming up with the wordings and all that, I would suggest that we bring a legal person like a lawyer to come onto the team to read the contract for us in a way that is a bit more formal and less layman. Okay, because for engineers, when we read contract, we read it from a very practical point of view, like what can we do? What is the processes? What is the steps? What are the procedures? What are the specific timeline and all that. So we read it in a very practical point of view. See, so but then lawyers, when they come in, they will read that word. That word means what? That word, that want, that is, that oh, and what is that sentence? And then you may find some loophole in the sentences, which is to your benefit if you want to execute some of the remedies or claim for damages and all that. You may, you see, so it would be a good thing that you understand the contract, but if there is really some form of things that you need to execute when it comes to the actual legal fine points, get a lawyer to be on a team. That would actually help a lot, actually. I mean, like, to be safe, like, in that sense, huh? I also advise this to lawyers as well. When you receive a case, on construction, on engineering and all that, you guys do not know the practicality of things. You guys read the sentences, but you do not know practically how is this going to be applicable. So when they accept a case like that, they also should have an engineer, some form of a technical person who is in practice to be on the team as well. Then both professions can help the client to make a better case. You see, don't take it as in. Then that's the thing with Malaysia. I find it Malaysian is like this. We don't work in team that much between profession. It's the same thing like doctors as well. Doctors, they hardly, if you go and see a doctor, you sakit perut, or you have a heart issue, heart doctor will just keep you to themselves. Meaning that they will look at you as in, from the heart perspective. But it could be because of a liver issue. It could be because of some vessels issue. It could be because of some neural issues. They don't really pick, bring in a team of other specialist consultants to check all sorts of possibility. Like how sometimes when people, I've heard of a case that when somebody has cancer in the stomach, and the most common thought is that the doctor will cut off your usus, and then do chemotherapy. But if it's a good team of doctors, they will actually get the whole team of doctors from gastrointestinal, starting from your teeth, from your mouth, to your esophagus, and to your stomach, to your uterus, to check through the different specialists from different areas to check through you, so that they make sure that even liver specialists to make sure that this thing doesn't come from other places. You see? And I thought that was a very, very professional thing to do, you see. And same goes with engineering. Sometimes we are lacking in that. We are very reluctant in bringing in other profession on board. But some lines are quite clear. Like building plan has to be architect. Structure plan has to be engineer. That one you cannot lari one, no? Then mechanical, electrical, what role do they play? Those are actually quite specific. But there are some projects that also have some gray areas as well, you see. So like environmental engineering, IBS, and all these things are all some very gray area that which one does it belong to? Does it belong to the or does it belong to the engineer? And sometimes engineer and also electrical electronics QS, electrical mechanical QSs, we all have some form of like a blurrish area, an intercrossing area that we are very reluctant to look for another profession to come in and try to help us. You see, so these are something that I really want you all to, because I believe that you all are going to be senior managers, and your decision making and your way of approaching things will actually make a lot of difference in terms of whether the project can be well executed, it can be a success or not. It's one decision from the management sometimes that makes a lot of difference. Okay, and yeah, so let's move on. So this is about suspension. Okay, and then how does court pick suspension? You can take a look at some of the cases here, and then we move on to termination. Okay, all right. So termination happens when there are a few forms of termination. Okay, when one termination by breach termination, I think we all understand. It's like you want to stop the contract. We want to terminate the contract. We want to break this relationship. We do not want to continue this relationship. It's like a divorce. Okay, so that's it. You go your way, I go my way. And then we don't touch each other anymore. You see. So same thing is with termination. There's a few types of termination. Okay, termination for cause is that this occurs when one party breach, it breach a term. Okay, it breach a very specific term, and the non-breaching party wants to terminate. It's just like, I have been wrong, so I want out. It's that simple. Yeah. So with this, it has to be with this sort of termination for cause. Okay, it is sometimes referred to as termination by breach. Okay, it's sometimes referred to termination by breach. So it just basically very simply means that somebody in the contract has breached the contract and you want to terminate. So it's just like the client says that the contractor are not working with due diligence, and my project is delayed for many, many months. After I've given you so many EOT, things are still not working. The project is as bad as being abandoned. So we need to take it back. We need to take it back. So if we need to take it back, we need to break the contract first. Okay, we need to break the contract first, and this breaking of breach, right? It usually will ensue a lot of things that requires the non-breaching party to carry the proof of the breaching party. You cannot one full bright daytime say that, oh, you breached the contract, and day 4. Some breach is very clear. This contractor actually being caught stealing, or bring in smuggled goods, or bringing, selling drugs on your site, for example. These are like very criminal kind of situation whereby you don't really need to have proof, because those police report and all these are your proof, that he is not in not doing the right, not doing the right thing. He's actually legally against the law, you see. But if you're talking about breaching certain terms and conditions in the contract, for example, like client not paying, okay, contractor not working, contractor not responding to your request for compliance, all these things are actually, many times you need a lot of proof. A proof means that you have to have the correspondence, you have to have the communication that is being recorded properly, and I honestly suggest, I mean, this is not a good thing to do, but actually, in fact, besides paper writing and all that, sometimes videos, recordings, and also recorded lectures, and I mean recorded lectures, recorded meetings, all these things are actually good as a proof. Okay, so I think if you are really suspecting that the other party, you cannot go on with the other party, try to find a very transparent way to do recording on all your meetings. I think that is one very important point that you can try to execute, such as having a CCTV, and then you tell your whoever is meeting with you, say we are having CCTV here, so let's talk with Claire here, or that recording like that, like online, we have a meeting online, then the meetings are being recorded. So these are all good proof that, if, I mean, like, normally we don't go to that kind of extent, because when it comes to situation like that, we really do want to settle it very calmly and, settle it very well. But unfortunately, there are some people who are very, very unreasonable and are very, very being very, very arrogant about a lot of things. You see, so or they call for a huge settlement, like a huge major settlement. Those sort of things are situation like that. It's important that you do have proof. Okay, but like I said, recording, this thing about recording is like a voice recording and all that. I mean, like, I'm not saying that you have to watch too much of spies movie to do that, but with this, we have to use it with very special care, because when you record people, there is another thing here that you are actually, if you're not getting their permission, you could be actually being sued for, breaching of privacy, you see. So you may be taking their voice or doing something that is, against their own free will, then, or they are not in the know. So this sort of evidence may not be also useful as well. Okay, but if the case is very, very terrible, and then you do have this sort of proof, it may help, you see. So yeah, so you really have to judge the situation very carefully, in that sense. Sometimes CCTV, like I said, it helps, it really helps. Like, like how you send your kids to kindergarten because they don't know how to talk, and it's good that the school have CCTV, so that if your child is being abused, it's the same thing here, in a meeting. Yeah, we are not purposely recording it, but then if the other party are being really, really, unreasonable, and trying to call for unreasonable settlements and all that, these sort of things may come out to be useful as well, in a way later on. Okay, but personally, going to record people when you talk to people, that thing you have to be very careful. Meaning that you put a thing in your pocket, you put a thing in a handbag, recorder in a handbag, and record the other person. That sort of things may not be easily used as a proof to in court. Okay, so be very careful. Be very careful. Don't. Sometimes you have to be careful, because I don't want you to, learn a bit of contract and what pandai, jadi pandai like that. Smart and like, there's a lot of fine things here that you need to take note on. Not so simple as we say, Okay. So yeah, so the procedures, what I'm trying to say here, the procedures is very critical. You really need to have a lot of correspondence, a lot of proof that the other parties are not working. You've been sending them NCR, chronological events are very, very well drafted out. You take note of recording the chronological event. You do things by procedures. You send out things that people need to sign and return. With a date. And don't just simply over the phone talk like that. And it doesn't work on site. You point out something, and then you say that you point out like 10, 20 times already. The person are not listening. Because if you go to court, if you go to arbitration, it doesn't help. When you say that I've already warned him many times, the lawyers, the court, the judges will look at event. They will look at documents. They will look at when you appoint the architect, when you appoint the engineers. They will look at that when you sign the contract. They will look at that when you buy the insurance. They will look at that when you send out the NCR. They will look at the date when you write to ask them for a reply. They will look at all these documents and dates that is attached to this document. So keeping a chronological order of event is a huge, huge, huge importance to any termination by cause. Then the next thing is about procedures. So once you give enough of warning, and then you write letters to terminate, but you still need to have some form of negotiation involved. Okay. When you talk about termination by breach, the other party may feel like they have not done anything wrong. And then once they settle the case with you, there may be another lawsuit comes in to say that you damaged their reputation. Okay. So termination by breach has to be treated very carefully. Okay. It's not as simple as you feel like somebody has done you something wrong, then you can go and terminate. Okay. The whole process, the whole procedures have to be very, very clearly written out. It has to be clearly seen. Then you are more on the safe side. Okay. So yeah, so contractor can also terminate if the owner default. Okay, so typically such default would due to non-payment, so in bad faith by owner to the contractor, meaning that he has not paid you, did not want to discuss things with you, and also has been trying to charge you LAD unreasonably, and after writing to them asking for payment, every 1 month, every 2 months, every 1 week you write a letter and or you request for meetings, and they did not respond to you. These sort of things you have that contractor can actually think about executing termination. Okay. Right. So termination by convenience. Okay. Termination by convenience is when one party, there's no breach. Okay. There's no breach. Let me see. This by convenience usually means some unforeseen circumstances. If let's say the pandemic dragged until today, okay, and still we are home quarantine, well, we may want to decide instead of a suspension, we cannot have an endless suspension. Okay, suspension, if I am not wrong, some contract will talk about the amount of time that you can do suspension and also the period of time that you can do suspension. Suspension cannot be endless. So when you come to certain suspension that is too long, we have to sit down and negotiate for termination by convenience, meaning that, sorry, we are, this is really not working, and therefore, can we just, call it a day and just wrap up, okay? Or another thing that is typically by convenience is we started off saying that we want to build a 2-story house, okay? And then in the end, we all keep on coming in. Or the other type of contract is that the drawings are not ready, and then, you keep on having additional work, things are not confirmed, then you change your mind again. So in the end, the whole contract has become not doable anymore, especially in terms of cost. See, so it has changed the scope, the requirements so badly that you know, it's when it's supposed to be a $5 million job. Now you add on, you take out, you do this and that, and then it has become a 7-8 million, job. So it's almost another contract. That is way beyond the contingency sum already. That is not just VO anymore. It's really a change in requirement and scope. So this is the time that we can say that, okay, can we just sit down and negotiate for a new contract? This is not working, you see. So this is termination by convenience. And some contract, for example, that the drawings are not ready, then you are having this cost plus model. Cost plus model, if you learn procurement from me, cost plus model is like you have a cost plus, meaning that nothing is ready actually. Essentially, we just have to start the project, and then the drawing comes, then the contractor calculates the cost of the project. Service provider will calculate the cost of the project by showing you the invoices and all these sort of things, and then plus some form of profit or plus some form of management fees and all that. The thing about this sort of contract is sometimes the contractor abuse this sort of contract because how do you prove the cost bit and how do you prove the plus bit? So the plus bit, even if 5% of management fees, for some contractors, they will say that because they don't have a job at the moment, they purposely drag this project so that they can continue charge management fees or monthly management fees and all that. So depending on your cost plus, in a sense, if that happens and things are getting a bit out of hands, termination by convenience, because it is not great. Contractually, a cost plus contract, these people can do that, you see. These people can do that. They can change the scope, the client side can change the scope, the contractor side still can, but, if it's plus a percentage of profit or plus percentage of the contract sum or plus just have a profit percentage of the contract sum as a profit or plus management fees plus a specific management fee that 10,000, 50,000 a month. So the plus thing was actually agreed upon. So when things get out of hand, can be the contractor getting out of hand or the client keep on changing the scope out of hand. When it comes to cost plus contract, you can also terminate based on convenience. It's no breach because this is the type of contract that is supposed to do that. See? So no breach, but we all know that it doesn't work anymore, so we want to terminate. Okay, so termination by performance. Termination by performance is the best way of terminating. Okay, meaning that the contract ended, everybody is happy. A contract needs to end. So this is what we mean by termination by performance, meaning that you properly hand over the job, you go into deferred liability period, you get your OT, you go into deferred liability period, and then after that, we finish, payment is paid. This is called, that the obligation is finished already, both sides of the obligation is finished already. So this is what we mean by termination by performance. It's basically termination by performance. Usually is marked by ending the contract when both parties has already fulfilled the contract. Okay. For some terms, sometimes we are used interchangeably. Termination for impossibility and impracticality. This is usually dealing with natural disaster. Let's say you are contracted in Indonesia. Now suddenly the whole volcano erupt next to your project. So these are natural disaster, COVID, mandate shutdown. These are termination by impossibility and impracticality. So this can also sometimes be termination by convenience. This is also can be called termination for impossibilities and impracticality. But impossibility and impracticality are usually dealing with change in law, natural disaster that is really, really not in the control of the both parties. Okay. Termination by mutual agreement. Okay. This thing here also is not the fault of both parties. This is usually maybe in a sense that agreement means that I really just don't want to continue the relationship with you anymore. One of the very typical reasons is I don't have money anymore. I've just lost so much money from other projects. I have no money to continue with this project. So it's like a consent that I'm getting from the contractor. Can we just, it's at the interest of both parties. I cannot pay you anymore. if we continue, you won't get your payment also. Can we stop here? Okay. Or the contractors, after do, they realize that, I'm really not up to this. I'm really not good at this. This is not my specialties. That is a bit stupid, huh? But then, usually we do that, because of our own problem. The other parties, their own individual problem. Then that normally is money. Usually it's budget constraint lah. Or it can also means that it can also be a situation whereby originally when it's in the contract it was specified this sort of certain things, supply, it supply this sort of things, and then I cannot supply you. These are very typical, like I'm sure sometimes you buy a lot of things online, correct now? Yeah. Or anyone experience renovation? Okay. I recently experienced renovation. I wanted to do something to one of my room in my house because my daughter is grown up already, a little bit more grown up now. She's in secondary school, so we are not putting her in a little table, trying to do her homework kind of thing. So we are actually renovating one of our her old playroom into a proper study room now. So we got a contractor, service provider, designer, renovator, interior designer kind of person to come to us. And so he quoted something, and then we agreed. So it was signed, we paid the deposit, etc. So in the end, he only delivered one of the items. And after waiting for, I think, about a month plus, and when we talked to him, he was, coming out with all sorts of rubbish. Okay. So actually, if there is a proper contract here, we could go for termination by breach, okay, meaning that he didn't deliver. But that is very complicated. They're very, very messy. So we end up going for termination by mutual agreement. We just talked to him and said that you cannot do it. Can you do it? Like he says, oh, I can do it, I still can do it, blah, blah, blah. Then we talked, and then we say that we cannot wait anymore. It's a bit too slow, and we need to get on this, and you can install within, say, a day, within a week, then we will still go on. But if you cannot, let's terminate. You see, so what he ended up agreeing, so agreeing to this mutual termination. So again, like I said, usually is the person, the contracting party themselves, knowing that they have an issue. Like client, they know that they have issue with money. Okay. Contractor knowing that they have issues with their subcontractor, their suppliers, or they have issues with their own skills, with their own ability. They may have already thought about looking for they may have thought that they want to look for a specialist, and then end up they couldn't find it, to help them. Or they wanted to find a consultant to help them to repropose or whatever, but they could not, you see. So nobody is skilled enough to do it. So therefore, he cannot manage it. So in the end, they request for termination by mutual agreement. So I think termination by mutual agreement is a very, very, very classy, very elegant way of getting out of things, whereby we do not want to drag each other on anymore, but normally there's some form of unhappiness, some form of quarrel involved already, By mutual agreement, usually is more gentle in that sense, because we are not trying to pile fault onto another person. It's just that you are realizing your own problem, you are realizing your own fault, and hopefully the other party will understand your fault and your inability or your problem, and therefore let's not do it. And like I said, you buy things online, you buy, wow, so happy, so cheap, you buy one, two, and then in the end the seller call you up and say that, I'm so sorry, I have a bit of problem, I can only give you 3 packets instead of 10 packets. I can only give you 1 chair instead of 10 chairs, so would you agree to it? If you say, if you cannot, it's okay, I can cancel the order. You see, this is what we call by mutual agreement. You understand, huh? All right. So it can be mutual between consultant, contractor, consultant, client, can be mutual between subcontractor, contractor, supplier with contractor as well. So it is possible in many sense, but it just basically means that you understand your own problem. Okay, you understand your own problem, and then therefore you want to talk to the other party. When we by bridge, it's like, if your problem, I am getting out, that kind of thing. By performance is we are both happy. And then impossibility, impracticality, and termination by convenience, it usually means that there are things that is a bit out of our own, a bit out of both of our control, and therefore we go for termination by convenience. Okay? I think these are very, very clear, I hope, in terms of explaining this. So, but whichever termination that we go for, the subsequent process and the subsequent procedures is very important. Okay. Most contract was set down. You need to do what? You need to inform the other party why you are terminating. You need to sit down and negotiate the termination terms and conditions. What do you mean by negotiate the terms and conditions? It means that when I'm terminating you via agreement, and therefore, what is your condition to terminate? What makes you agree to terminate? Okay. If you agree to terminate, I say, okay, then you have to pay me whatever that is outstanding. And I want this outstanding amount to be certified, to be proposed by ourselves, to be certified by your people. So you need to sit down and work out the termination terms and conditions. Okay. I wouldn't call it working out the termination agreement. That sounds like a very big thing. Yeah. Yeah. But normally, yes, you need to sit down and work out on what is the thing that we both can agree on. What is it that you take away? What is it that I have to do some more? Like maybe I say I'll pay you this, but you leave all the pipe to me. You leave all the material. You leave all these 50 bags of concrete here. You calculate that, and I will pay you. You negotiate. You negotiate along the way, and come to a situation that you have a simple termination terms and conditions that both agree and sign upon, and then we will execute the termination that way. So when we execute termination, it's just not that you terminate somebody and that's it, bye-bye, I don't want to see you anymore. Even termination by breach is the same. Even if you say termination by breach, you still also have to work out this final termination terms and conditions for you all to move forward and do according to those final terms and conditions. Okay? You understand, no? All right. So remedial we have gone through just now. Okay, very specifically, remedials is by specific performance. What do we mean by specific performance? Okay. By specific performance means that, example for us is very simple. Okay, sorry, damage. I forgot to see damage. Damage is of course some amount of damage. Normally you need to is monetary Damages are usually monetary, so it will be converted. All your damage will be converted to monetary. Okay. To put it very sadly, sometimes when somebody die, also there is a conversion to monetary value So like say your workers die on site, and then you need to compensate damage. Those damages are also can be converted monetary. So they will be converted in such a way that this person can still work for 10 years, before retire, and
1 month he is earning a salary of how much, and then let's say he's earning $1,000 per month, or 2,000 per month. 1 year this fellow is earning 224K, so then the compensation will be 240K for 10 years. So you need to compensate the family 240K, for example. And now, well, like, I do not want to say this, but sometimes life can be very, very worthless, isn't it? When you have a natural disaster, when things happen, all our life has become a number, isn't it? So many people die, 200 people, 250 people die, and then da 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 da. But it's actually quite it feels a bit worthless, huh? Yeah. So I think damages in terms of most of us would like to convert, like it's easier that way for contract to convert any to convert damages into monetary terms. Okay. Yeah. So that one is quite clear, like liquidated as certain damage is monetary terms. Loss and expenses is monetary terms. Specific performance is very simple, so it means that you need to do something lah. You breach this, you need to do something about it. Like, let's say repair. Okay, I do not want you to pay me back monetary, but I need you to repair until it's done. Okay, so go back and yes, recently I've also faced a case about sorry, I'm a very problematic person. A lot of people come to me with problems. So there was a group, there was some drainage work ongoing, and many residents, residents, is a project that is executed by one of the council, and then the houses was actually all sengit sebelah. Not houses, sorry. The fences were all sengit sebelah after the construction work. So this one, obviously, councils are not going to go for damage lah, and they also cannot claim damage. The people cannot claim damage because this is actually public work. So when we are doing it, it's not because we purposely go and damage it, you see. So if I use a hammer and go and hit on your wall and your carport, that one is, I do damage, I need to pay you, and it's a criminal act even, so it's vandalism. So it's a different thing. But by specific performance, like in this case, it's like, because of the public works, my fans got got cracked. So specific performance is to repair. So you have to go back and repair up to the standard. And that specific performance have to maybe even involve a specific consultant to propose. The contractor needs to bring in their own consultant to prepare a repair a repair report, and also to prepare repair procedures, okay, for them to actually continue to to repair back to the original situation. So this repair work has to be executed under the supervision of the different parties involved, including the house owner, in that sense. So this is remedial by performance. Okay. Rescission basically is dealing with things like termination, damages, specific performance, rescission, injunctions, reformation. These sort of things are actually very, very contractual terms. Okay, I mean, like, very, very legal terms. But when we transfer back to a contract, it is an engineering contract. It is those things: suspension, termination, LAD. So reformations means that there is some problem with the contract, and then you cannot make it now, but you have to go back and modify the terms and conditions of the contract. That is reformation. So rescission basically is dealing with by breach. It's about breaching. Injunction relief, this one is very similar with suspension. Injunctions means that you don't come near my site anymore. I want you to stay away. That one is injunction. Okay. Injunction relief usually means that if you continue to work, the harm will be even bigger. So therefore, stay away, and I will go to court and get an injunction order. Okay. So this is like this is a bit like suspension. So it's a form of suspension. So these terms under remedial here that I'm showing you basically are simply legal terms. You hear that remedials in contract, these are legal terms, but in terms of engineering contract, they are just termination, suspension, that LAD, loss and expenses. These are all typically part under this sort of remedial. Okay. The last section of this notes is dealing with nominated supplier and subcontractor. So I think I'm not sure how well you guys know this. Okay. Nominated, basically subcontractors are part under contractors. Okay. They are their contractors team. They are on the contractors team. Suppliers is also on the contractors team. Okay. So any domestic subcontractor and supplier are the people who contract to supply, fix, install, work on any materials and goods, for the formation as a part of the formation of a main contract. Okay. If we talk about nominated ones, they are specifically nominated ones in the contract. These are the people that is appointed by the client. These are not domestic. This means that the main con has no say over who they are. Okay. Basically, it's being forced upon them. So client will say that I want you to use this brand. I want you to use this brand, and this brand is only this supplier. I need you to use this specialist welder, and this is the people that you need to use. These are the specialist consultants. I need you to use them for your design. That's all. When you go for nominated, as far as the client is concerned, domestic subcontractors and suppliers, these are not my concern. I only look at the MANCOM. So domestic subcontractor cannot go to client and say, oh, they're not paying me, I cannot work, and blah, 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 help us, and all the EQ. They cannot. You're not supposed to campur tangan. They are the managed, they are under like schedules, like work order, like work procedures. They are all part under the main contractor. You cannot go and interfere with the management of the main con. Okay. So, but nominated ones, yes, the client directly select these people. If there are issues, they are protected. Okay. So, even though these nominated subcontractors, they are part under the contractor, but the client themselves may want to choose their own subcontractor because of certain requirements. They want to take more control over some critical parts of the work, or they want to shorten the contract period with some specialists. So there's many reasons. They want a specific brands and all that. So they want a specific skills people to be on the team. So they nominate, but they are still part under the MANCON. It's just that the MANCON get the payment, they will pay the subcon. It's that the flow is exactly the same. It's just that because they are nominated, they are more protected, so they can go to the MANCON, and they can, if the MANCON are not paying them or the MANCON are not treating them properly, they can go to the client and make a complaint. So the client will maybe find ways to talk to the MANCON. The client will campur tangan more. They can, because these are nominated, you see, by them, especially with payment. If the nominated subcontractor supplier are not receiving any payment, the client can directly pay the nominated subcontractor and supplier. and deduct the payment off from the ManCon. Okay, so this is the part that of course many of us wants to be nominated supplier and subcontractor lah. You are more protected in that way. Okay. Name subcontractor and supplier is effectively the same as domestic. Okay, it's the same as the usual subcon and supplier. It's just that this one here, the client actually give a list of people that they want, and the client name them first, name the list first. These are not nominated. I mean, like, this is like an in between. Domestic is the client, the contractor choose. They go for whatever they want. Then they will also write to the client, inform the client that these are my subcontractors. These are my supplier. But the client would not usually want to comment much, okay, unless they really do not want that particular person. Okay. Nominated is the client specific. I want that guy. All right. Name subcontractor is like the whole list here. I gave you, these are the list of people that I usually work with. I like them. You pick from there. Okay. But this name contractor will be employed by the contractor, not the client. And again, the client cannot interfere, even though then he named them. This is different. This is a complete different level from nominated. The nominated one is the highest level. Okay. Nominated one, they are protected by the client. This name one, even though they are named, they just successfully put themselves on the list of the client for the contractor to choose from. That's all. All right. Understand now? Okay. All right. So these are nominated subcontractor and contractors. The other big issues with nominated subcontractors and contractors are usually dealing with full sub. This is, I think, I am surprised nobody asked me about this. Full sub. Subbing the job is quite common. Very common, because nowadays many contractors are moving on to being a specialist sort of things. If I do structure, I do structure. So, but a project normally is multidiscipline. So they will still need to find some road contractor to help them, some water contractor to help them. Maybe drainage they can do themselves, because it's dealing with concrete, precast, and all that. Yeah. So you would get subcontracting work. So it's very common for also client to see subcontractor coming into the site. So you cannot stop that also. Okay. But is that on paper, full sub in any contract usually means that full sub is not thing. Okay. You essentially cannot do full sub. You understand? So all this borrow license thing actually is wrong. Borrow license is still macam, because borrowing license in terms of in the client's eyes is full sub. Yeah. But in terms of the contractor and the subcon is not. That subcon is just using the license of the ManCon, but you are still responsible. But on paper, the client will look at it as a sub. Okay? Because that's how you legally can put it, Yeah, you cannot say borrow license, there's no such a term in any engineering contract or in any contract at all to talk about borrow license, So it has to be alarmed on the sub. You understand? So full sub is not, it cannot be. Full sub is sometimes I go and take the job. The worst is the type that I go and take a job, I go and lobby for a job, I go and take the job back. Then I don't do it. I don't even manage it. I go and sell my project to somebody else under a subcontracting agreement. Those sort of things are really headaches for client. Client usually finds it like a huge headache when situations like that happen, because whenever they go and look for the main guy who actually tender for the job and get the project, they don't respond. And then the sub guy, yes, they respond, but they have no contractual obligation. See? Because basically they are, you know, sometimes when they choose not to, then when they choose to ignore you, it can be quite painful, because really contractually they are not under you, you see. They're not under you. You have no control over the subcon. But the bank con, they've already sell the project. So that's why our law is really giving us a headache in that sense. I'm sure some of you faced this before. The main guy who came, nobody came for the meeting. Ask the subcon also ask some junior engineers to come and cannot make decision, and the project is in a very, very kalangkabut situation. Yeah. So usually end up sick project. Yeah. So this subcon thing, when like I said, all contract will state that you're not supposed to full sub. Full sub, full let, full assign your contract to. I think these are the areas that in the contract have to be a bit more tighter, to be a bit more specific in terms of writing, so that people don't use the loophole to do some full subbing, and then end up project are not functioning. The whole project are actually sick project. Yeah? All right, then the last issues is insurance. This is quite common. Insurance is something that you must buy. All contractors must have the insurance before they go into the site, before they're fully mobilized. Some people may not realize that now, because when you have site possession, the next thing is insurance. Site possession, you take over the site, and yet you don't have insurance. If something happens, you have to be responsible. So if let's say I'm mobilized, I'm a contractor, I receive site possession, I'm mobilized, I move in to the site, and then I do site clearing work, and suddenly one of my guys got run down by a lorry, and he got injured or died, and during this period of time, you don't have insurance. So basically, this guy's life is fully on your head. Okay, so you need to pay for his damage, his family's damage. If they bring you to court and all that, there is a possibility that you can be sued as well. So the Department of DOSH will come to you as a contractor and hit upon you as a contractor to tell you about breaking laws, and also damage and all that, do damage payment and all that, penalty, like they have DOSH now penalize people. Is this all? You have to pay penalties. So all these things, if you don't have the insurance, you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to go in. So in fact, insurances should only come after you got site possession. And most insurance company, without a proper site possession or signing of the documents, or handing over of the site, they would not sell you the insurance as well. Okay. Full insurance that needs to be bought, that is quite common, is contractors' risk, which is supposed to cover many, many, many things under contractors' work insurance, under contractors' work. Then the other one is workman compensation, dealing with accidents and safety under the safety of the workers, employees on site. So contractors' issues usually dealing with many things, thefts, fire, machineries, interruption, business interruption, public liability. These are all part of contractors' always. But I know insurance company are always the super wing guy lah. Normally after you claim, there will usually be issues. Then the main thing with insurance is all us do not fully understand all the fine things in the insurance. So there will be situation that you think that can claim, go there, cannot claim, because you need a report from specialists, need a report from expert. And expert write a report, certain words are not correct. Like settlement, like um ground condition or whatever. And then, it's all in the fine prints, and then or not covered because this is a natural settlement, something like that, and then end up a lot of times you actually cannot claim insurance at all, you see. So well, it's just to buy for the peace of mind. So if you really think about insurance protecting you, I think you think twice lah, jangan mimpi lah, insurance protecting you, I would say out of 10 cases, you'll be lucky if you can, 2 of the cases actually can claim. Rest of the 8 cases confirm cannot claim one. There will always be something there that they will bring out and say that, oh yeah, you did not fulfill this. Oh no, you did not do this. Oh no, you have not have this. Oh no, you don't have a police report. Oh no, you don't have this. So therefore, end up in the end you cannot claim. Even that the other 2 projects that out of 10, the other 2 that can claim, there is always some what is the name of that fees that you need to pay, and that fees is usually a very huge amount of fees. Let's say you claim for 50,000, and that fees is already like 15,000 or something like that, and then they will take the money first, so and then only allow you access, they call it access, I think. Car is the same, they will charge you access. You have a huge repair work, but then end up, yeah, they insured you, like 50,000, they insured you, but the excess is 10,000. So in the end, you only get 40,000. You see, so then you still have to fork out your own 10,000, something like that. So that excess is usually quite huge as well. So that excess fees is like ticket management fees, so they call it excess fees. So yeah, like claiming insurance is not really a very good thing to do, like not a very pleasant, not a good thing, not a very pleasant experience, I would say, So yeah, so insurance, these 2 insurance, you have to have it upon the site is handed over. And those people are doing phases 1 as well, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. By phases as well, usually insurance company don't cover until the defect liability period is over for phase 1. So that's why some contractors will have issues trying to buy insurance if your phase 1 is not completed or your phase 1 defect liability period is not completed. Why? Because insurance company very smart, phase 1 and phase 2 of a project are normally interconnected, So they will be using the same road, same drainage systems, same pipeline systems. The workers are still going in from phase 1 thing. Still coming in and out from phase 1. So what if the insurance people, what if the contractor actually claim phase 1 issues under phase 2, you see? So if let's say when I was doing some work and I use a site, I use a road for phase 1 to go to phase 2 and I damage phase 1 road, and I claim it because I already have insurance for phase 2. So you will claim it under all risk under phase 2. But actually this is defect liability under phase 1. So the contractor is supposed to pay for it themselves under phase 1. So there you go, so they are actually having a risk that they will be responsible for more than whatever that is being insured. So that's why they are usually quite specific if the project are being forced, if the project do have phases. Yeah, so phase 1, phase 2, it may be harder to get insurance for phase 2 until all your phase 1 are ready, like there's no more claims, nothing, defect is over, then they will allow you to buy phase 2 insurance. But you cannot start a job, when you're phase 2, you cannot start a job without insurance. If you do it, it's at your own risk. You still can do work, but it is at your own risk. If thefts happen, nobody is going to pay for you. Like if your machinery got stolen, there's no contractor's policy to protect you at all. That's for sure. If somebody die on site, somebody injured on site, there's nobody to pay for you. Okay. If you accidentally dig a table and you cause the whole matang or whole Atukawa to go out of business for 3 hours, then SEB send you a bill. Insurance can't cover you because you haven't bought the insurance yet. So insurance is a must for any contract to start to work. So you need to be very careful as well to get this thing out before the start of the project. Okay. First start of construction work, usually come after set possession and then come after set possession and then after 2 weeks, you start to buy insurance after 1 or 2 weeks, and the coverage, the policies, everything will be done maybe in about 1 or 2 weeks. So usually it's quite normal for insurance to be completed, insurance process to be completed about a month from handing over of the site, from site possession. Okay. Right, so I think that's all I have to cover for this particular contract. So we've covered time, we've covered cost, we've covered quality, very specifically those terms, and we've covered many, many issues under others. Okay, so as much as possible, we've gone through many things in a way for the past 5 weeks, for the past 5 LUs, essentially. Okay. And is there any questions that we want to talk about and discuss? Anything? You also can hear me, because I feel myself, my voice is getting a bit softer, so I'm dragging on. I mean, like I'm sort of like going into a bit of a monotonous mode. So I hope I'm not putting everybody to sleep. Okay.
Loud and clear, Doctor.
Loud and clear. Okay. Faru, you have any things you want to share with us?
Not at the moment. I'm still digesting what being taught.
Yeah. You are working as a developer, is it? Or
Actually, I'm working at Sarawak Metro.
Sarawak Metro.
Yeah, the ART implementer project.
I think soon you're going to have a lot of contract administration coming out.
Yes, because we have issued out few contracts to the main contractor. So currently, site possession is ongoing, and then work has been commencing at site now, lah. So we're expecting quite a number of public complaints coming soon.
Yes. And I think you need to check the line of communication between the contractors, whether they are doing some full subbing work and all that kind of things that you need to take note of,
Yes, correct.
Sarawak Metro has their own standard form of contract, I believe, or are you just using the KR form or PWD form?
Come again, Doctor? Can't hear you.
Are you using are you guys having your own Sarawak Metro standard form of contract?
We have our own kind of contracts, lah, basically.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So if you're involved in the execution, just make sure that you check out all these clauses on EOT and read through that very carefully.
Correct. It has to be documented correctly, because I'm in charge of the project quality. So in terms of documentation, it has to be in place, lah.
Yes. So that would be quality management. Have we done quality management with us already?
Yes, last semester.
So the PQP, and then the checklist.
Yes, correct. That would be the basic of it, lah.
Yeah, and then make sure that the documentations are done very carefully as well.
Yes, indeed.
And then the storage and then the communication of the non-compliance and everything has to be all being put very clearly up to the contractors, because these are very, very big projects and dealing with a lot of public viewing, public liability as well, so you may have a lot of issues dealing. And then your insurance, you have to be very, very clear about what kind of insurance that must be bought and all that. So now the contractors, don't let them skip all these parts here.
Yeah. That part is our CNC has been dealing with it, lah, for the contract, lah, for the insurance and whatnot.
Okay, interesting. The documentation that you have here for QAQC, normally you may feel like it's nothing to do with the contract. But when there is a dispute, your way of documenting things is going to be part of a very, very critical document,
Yes, correct. There should be evidence later on also.
Yeah. Many things actually, it does start from quality. It's just that people see it as a time and cost problem. So the dispute comes as a time and cost dispute, but actually, essentially, it was a quality dispute. Okay.
Yep.
On assignment that you all want me to go through. Anyone want to show me the assignment? Oh, I mean, cannot be sitting here. Not. You haven't started the assignment or something. Anybody wants to talk about your assignment?
Dr. Ting, I started a bit, but my contract is more towards supplier contract. So
Yep.
in terms of LED, there's only one project that we have the LED clause inside, which I included in the contract, but the law, we are following the international law. There's no specific law in Cambodia.
Yep.
So yeah, so that is the point. And then number 3, the third case study is about the, I think about the delay, if not mistaken. So that one maybe.
The
Yeah,
first case study is about delays. Like, for example, what you need to, let's say if you're having a supply contract, okay, I'm pretty sure there will be in the supply contract how to deal with the supplier that did not supply on time. Okay. And you also have to look at the procedures if they don't supply on time. What is the client's remedial and what is the contractor's following actions that needs to be taken? I mean, as supplier, subsequent actions that needs to be taken. You may find that for a supplier contract, things may be very simple. You know, they don't really have much process and procedures. You know, if things are not delivered on time, okay. But what you can do is you can, if in the report that you're writing here, what you can do is state whatever that is in the contract that you are using. Okay. For example, if you're using international contract like FIDICA or some form of NECA or whatever, some Singapore contract or whatever, use that as your background and look into those clauses that is related to time, supply time, delays, and also remedial. Like what happens if it's not on time? What does the contractor do? I mean, what does the supplier do? What can a client do? You see? So
yeah, in this case it's quite straightforward. In this case is about the delay of the material supposed to be on site, and then there's a clause in the contract saying that if the material doesn't arrive on site on that particular date with plus minus, then they are entitled to charge us LAD, but kept at 0.5% of the contract value or something like that. So things did happen. So it's in my assignment also, I put it in. So the claim is also straightforward. They just send an email stating that, okay, based on the contract, we are going to pursue this email notification, and they will issue a letter saying that they are going to charge us this much and deduct from the original contract. So this is quite straightforward for the case. And the law that they use is from Switzerland. It's our corporate is from Switzerland. So
is there any clauses on the contract, the supplier being able to request for some extension?
Sorry, Dr. Ping?
Is there any clauses in your contract that the suppliers are entitled to apply for some form of extension if the delay is inevitable or under unforeseen circumstances? Like, for example, now that you're going to have a war up there, you know, and then natural disasters sort of things. Like, is there anything that's dealing with that?
Yes, in the contract there is force majeure, all these things that we can use that clause, but the point is that it is due to our own internal issue that causes a delay. So in this case, we didn't dispute that. So we took up that responsibility, and then they deduct the value from our contract. But it's not a big value. But the thing is that we don't want to dispute and don't want to go against it because we know that it is our problem. So that is quite straightforward.
So I need you to explain what is in the contract. Don't just base it on your case study. Your case study is only a support of how you practically do your study. I mean, use your contract. So the main part of this assignment, everybody listen up as well, huh? The main part of this assignment is for you guys to discern, for you guys to go back to whatever contract that you have been using for your job and discern what are the clauses, what are the things that are dealing with time, delays, EOT, LAD. Okay? Then for your project, what happened? Okay? And then like what you tell me now that you did not execute it, because the you did not actually go and pursue on the extension of time clauses because this is due to the contractor's own, the supplier's own issues, and yeah, so you accept that penalty, huh? So yeah, that is fine. That is fine as a supporting means that I want to see from you that you understand all the clauses that are available in your contract in your country or international contract. Okay? The case is I want to see how some of you practically apply these clauses. Of course, some of you do not have a very specific example. That is why then your focus would be on the reason why I don't want to put case studies as the main focus is because of some of you may not have the case studies. And some of you who are actually not working directly, they may not have case studies. So therefore, I want you to focus more on the contract clauses and explaining those contract clauses and understanding those contracts to show, so that, like I say, majority of the marks will be in the clauses itself. Okay, then the supplementary will be on the case study. So you understand what I'm trying to get at. So it's okay that your case studies do not cover everything, but as long as you write your case studies with reference to the clauses, then that is perfect already. Okay?
Okay, understand. Yep.
Then the second case studies, I'm pretty sure you have no issues, right? Because that one is about payment, huh? You have any issues on the second case study?
Case study number 2 is on the financial part where we have two different nominated subcontractor. We have two different contracts and the payment term is also very different. One is using the irrevocable LC from the bank and one is using a bank transfer, which is the internal within Cambodia. So that one is explained in the contract also on how they do the payment, what is the document they need in a certain contract, especially when the contractor is from Vietnam. So it's a cross-country thing. So it's a challenge there, but at the moment we don't have any issue there. I explained in the contract also, like in the contract it mentioned that to qualify for this LC, you need to have this document, like what kind of document. There's a lot of document that you need, and then the bank will then release the payment on all these things. But there are some gray area where when there is a mismatch in documentation between us and between the contractor. So every amendment need by the bank, they need to charge about US$ 150 for amendment. So it comes out as a big figure, and this is the point that it is not stated in the contract clear enough who is going to bear this thing. The contract only say that the payment come 120 days after the LC or after the site of all whatever it is, but it doesn't mention who is going to be responsible for this kind of small changes, which actually amounted to big amount. If you have 4 or 5 changes, that's almost $1,000. So so this is the thing that I highlight in the case study number 2. But when it comes to case study number 3, which is the supervision, this one we are not allowed. So this one maybe I have to ask some of my friend here who is doing the main contract with the main contractor, then probably they can help on this.
Supervisions bit on this is more on the quality bit, I think. So I think, do you have any clauses that ensure if I remember my assignment correctly, is like, do you have any policy that is, do you have any clauses in your main supply contract that talks about, when the material arrives, who is supposed to check and who is supposed to accept, reject, and all that? And then if there's a rejection, what you do, and then what does can the supplier dispute that, this is what I give you, this is what I quoted, and then but you don't accept it, then what is the remedial actions and all that? This is something that you can write about actually if you have those. I'm pretty sure you have, like how, like you cannot just accept that, correct?
No, we in our supplier line in SICA's code of conduct or the guideline from the corporate is that we are not allowed to do any inspection at site. We are not allowed to sign any inspection document. We can train our applicators, our approved applicator. That is what we can do. And then whatever warranty given to the client is that there's application warranty and there's a product warranty. So product warranty is given based on the product specifications that we match to the specification, but the application warranty comes from the approved applicator that we train. So in this case, any employee of a SICA group are not allowed to do any inspection, are not allowed to supervise at the site. So this is from the legal from our senior legal. So this is the thing that our company adhere to. So in the contract, it is mentioned that we do not do supervision. There's not even a clause in the contract saying that we are going to do any supervision. There's only a contract clause saying the warranty given based on the product base. So in this case, I really don't have a supervision contract.
You can write that actually. That theoretically, for most material that is supplied to any site, the other side, the client side, needs to have a way of accepting it currently. I mean, like, yeah, you don't have to do supervision. I mean, you belonging to the supplier, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but then what about the contract? The client don't have any way of saying that I accept the thing or not, me?
The contract between the client is they sign with the main nominator subcontractor, and the nominator subcontractor they buy from us. So we do not sign any direct contract with the client.
Yeah,
So
but you can explain based on their contract agreement, ma? Why do you have to base on your contract agreement? Yours is a supply contract, it's a nominated supplier contract,
yeah, because we only supply to the main contractor, so we do not have any contract with the client. And as for the contract between them and the client, well, I can try to ask them and see what is the clauses inside there, because I've seen before the extract when they present to us is that they warranty the client or something like that based on supervision. All this they do have that one, which is not related to our contract. Yeah.
Go for that. I think it would be better. This is for your better understanding of the whole situation.
Okay, Dr. Ting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should go for that if they allow you to just use it. This is only one part of the assignment. Just as long as you're writing based on the quality bit of things, I think that is fine. That is fine. So it doesn't matter that you don't have to use your own supplier contract. You can use the main contract with the subcon. Well, yeah.
That will do. Thank you, Dr. Ting.
Go for that. I mean, that is more close to you rather than you come all the way and ask your classmates here for any other examples, which you essentially have. Even if you learn it, it's not going to be helpful to you in your work. You see.
Yep. Okay.
Try lah. Or if you really don't have all these things, you can even go for general international law. General international law, maybe something like in FIDIC and all that. What do they say about supervision? You can even go for that, and then write a theoretical reporting on that. I mean, it would be nice to have an international form write up. I think it would be nice, yeah. It would be nice for me to read actually, yeah. So you don't really have to attach a case studies to it, but you can attach samples, like examples of your experience or examples of what happened, in your project previously. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a real, like now kind of examples, you see. So you can even talk to some of your main people, it's like based on figure form, this sort of things. What do you have any examples, or do you have any experience with these situations like that? Then you can use that as your case studies if you want. Yeah. If you go for, I mean, like international forms, the reason why I want you to write international forms is because of you are working in the international arena. So you can't write for a Malaysian form unless you are really working very closely with Malaysian contractors or Malaysian clients. Even if you write a Malaysian forms, then it doesn't help you at all in a way in your career at the moment.
Yeah, totally understood. Yeah, that is. I will write based on the project itself, because I wanted to use only one project and not different project, because only that particular project is big enough to have a contract signed. So the rest we don't have a really a sales contract or supply agreement contract. So that is the only project that we have at the moment.
Fine. So proceed. We only have about another 2 weeks to finish up the assignments. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost completed. It's just that after talking to you, I think we had to make some amendments. And for the case study 3, there's only one that I'm stuck now. So, so I will follow your advice, and then I will dig up some correspondence and some contracts from the client towards the nominated subcon, and see what are the causes that on supervision, and how does it affect us, because from our side it's totally very clear that we don't have a supervision as such. So
Okay. Look at your same project, but look at the main contract.
yeah, that's because there's two, as I said, there's two different contracts. One is a Vietnamese contract, and one is a Cambodian contract, and one is an international contract. Cambodian contract is based on international law. Vietnamese contract, I think, is based on what the Vietnam government law is, but it's still bound by our international law, because we made some changes when we consulted our senior legal from Switzerland, so they made some changes there. So yeah.
That is a very, very good exposure, isn't it? I mean, like Cambodia. Cambodia is nearer. Is it next to Myanmar, or is it more next to? I mean, like that.
Cambodia is surrounded by Vietnam. On top of it is Laos, and if you look at the map, on the left side is Thailand. So we're surrounded by 3 countries. Yeah.
So there is no sea attached to him.
There is, because Cambodia is at the bottom part. If you look at the map, there is sea at the border there, which is the Sihanouk province, which is quite famous now for all the wrong reasons. They have some sea there. They are going to make that place into a economic zone. I don't know when is it going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Angkor Wat isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, Angkor Wat is a very nice place. It's called Siem Reap. So Siem Reap, there's only a few flights there's a KL flight direct to Siem Reap, not going to Phnom Penh. Because all the officers, like international officers, all is based in Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh is like a KL to Malaysia, something like that. So Phnom Penh is KL to Cambodia, something like that. So all the international office all be based in Phnom Penh, but Siem Reap is where the Angkor Wat is. And if you drive, it's about 5 hours driving. But if you take a flight from KL to Siem Reap, it's about 2 hours.
Wow.
And Siem Reap is a very nice place. I mean, it's a UNESCO site. Angkor Wat is beautiful. The place there is beautiful. It's a tourist area. It's quite safe there in Siem Reap. But in Sihanoukville province is not that safe at the moment. But Siem Reap is very safe. In Phnom Penh is more towards working. So if you have time, you do visit Siem Reap. It's very nice. I think once in a lifetime, I think you should visit it. Yeah, you should visit that place.
For me, it's one of the wonders of the world. It's like that. That's Angkor Wat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice in the sense that if you come during November or December, the temperature can drop. On morning is about 17, in the afternoon is 22. So during December, if you come to Angkor Wat, it's really, really nice weather. And the thing is, there is very cheap. You can get the fried rice for $1.50. I mean, US dollars, $1.50. You can get some other stuff for $1.50. So it's quite cheap there. Yeah.
Oh wow! I mean, like you have just given me my year-end holiday plan.
Well, if you drop by, you let me know, because I usually go to Siem Reap at the end of the year also for some stuff.
You you're not fully based there, are you? Or you just like in and out, in and out?
No, I'm fully based here. I've been here I'm here for almost 5 years now.
Your family is also there with you?
No, my family is back in Miri. I was working in Brunei for about 7 years before, so that's why I bought a house in Miri, and then my family is there now. So I can't bring them here because the education and the healthcare here is not good. So it's not a good place to raise a family. So
But see, we're just taking a break here and listen to Saul's story. So you guys have any question on Siam Reap? I think we better sit down and ask him. Yeah. We have a classmate that are like coming from so far in the way, you know.
I think a lot of them also maybe have traveled to Siem Reap before. I don't know, but Cambodia is one of a country that is a lot of misunderstanding happening because of one provinces which is called Sihanouk province, where it was destroyed by the Chinese. I mean Chinese. So that place is still not safe. It's a beautiful beaches, all this, but yeah, but it's not safe. But Siem Reap is very safe. Siem Reap is really very safe.
The level of safety is actually a lot better than Myanmar, I believe, isn't it?
Oh yes. That's for now, yes, because Myanmar now is run by the military. I have a few Myanmar colleagues in the management team here. Two of them, they also came from Myanmar. But unfortunately, Myanmar now they are not able to go back because Myanmar now draft a law that anybody in the age of 40, girls or boy, they are not married, you have to serve the army. For men, even though you are married below 40, you need to serve the army because they are fighting the rebels, and the government is losing. So it's not safe to go Myanmar at the moment. Totally not safe. So it's very sad to hear that actually.
Wow. Yes, I think there's a lot of disruption in Myanmar at the moment, and Myanmar is very famous for a lot of natural resources, like they're actually one of the biggest export things like these sapphires, like all these precious stones, jadeite, and all that. And I've heard a lot of people saying that they cannot go in anymore. There's a lot of shortage in supplies as well because of that.
Myanmar is very famous for their jade.
Yeah.
For a lot of Chinese company go there and mine the jade, and then they bring it back to China. So if you buy any jade, I think if from Myanmar, I think that is the main source of jade. That is really good source.
Yeah,
so jade from Myanmar is very famous.
Yeah, Burmese jade. Burmese jade. Yeah, I mean, so that was the news that I've been listening to, in a way saying that, so, now I know the situation is that bad. So Cambodia side, I think the only thing is probably on safe. I mean, do you really need a tour guide when you go there? Like, is it better? Is it okay to actually like travel by yourself?
Cambodia is not the export country. They only export rice. So the rice that you eat from Thailand, they call it Thailand good rice or Vietnam good rice, actually came from Cambodia. They buy from Cambodia, then they rebrand it as a rice from them. So the only good thing about Cambodia here is the rice. The silk is not that famous because number one silk producer is in the world is Vietnam. Cambodia is not in that one. You will talk about cashew nut. Cashew nut, Vietnam is number one. Cambodia is also not in the list. So they don't have anything that is exported because they don't have these natural resources. But due to what happened to the country in 1975 and to 1979, where the Khmer Rouge is in the country, where they kill about 3 million of their own Cambodian people. And this Khmer Rouge, if you look up in the internet, is actually a very sad story where So at that particular time, all the smart people are gone. About 3 million of So now we are dealing. Why Cambodia is backwards than any other country like Vietnam or Thailand is because of this also. Partly is because of this. So right now there's a lot of expats like us here trying to teach them the new technology, trying to bring the new technology to Cambodia, trying to uplift them in terms of understanding all this. So can't really blame them on that because of this. But in Siem Reap is a very nice place. You should visit there because they also give you the history of Khmer Rouge, what happened at that time.
It's a safe country to travel to. That's the country.
Yes. If you go to Siem Reap, it's very safe. You go to Phnom Penh, it's very safe. Just don't go to Sihanouk at the moment. Sihanouk is not that safe. Sihanouk is a seaside.
Safety, I think you don't really get a lot of theft. Do you get a lot of theft?
No. In Siem Reap, it's very safe because Siem Reap they have a totally different police working. It's called a tourist police. So these tourist police, they are not money based. They don't receive bribe or anything. They really take care of tourists, and they can speak good English. Some actually they try to make that place very very safe so that there's tourists, because the ticket sales from Angkor Wat is about, you're talking about more than 100 million per year from the tourists. So this is one of the cash cow of Cambodia. They can't afford to make it not safe. So it's very safe there in Siem Reap.
Are the people there very sort of gentle? How some places there people they are very very burly and
No.
very scary.
Cambodians
Cambodian
generally they are very warm people. They are welcoming, and they have a very good culture of respect, especially towards tourists, towards people who come and visit their country. They are very open. But as I say, in all the country, even Malaysia, we still have some, out of 1,000 or 10,000, maybe there's one that is bad. So we can't really put that one on the whole thing. So in
That's
Siem Reap,
true.
based on what I went many times, I never have that experience. All I have is a very good experience there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Like you said, if the December weather is good, that will be a very nice place to go to during school holiday, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, Siem Reap is family friendly. So you can bring kids and they want along for holiday, is no problem. It's a family friendly place.
Wonderful. That is very good piece of information today for me. Learn something very new from you actually. Yeah. Like we've been listening, been hearing about, these things, Angkor, Cameroon, sort of things, but because that region, like how we always have the impression, because, like always unrest lah in the way lah, end up because of Myanmar also, I think people also get a wrong impression that Cambodia, Laos, and all these are also not very, very safe as well, you see.
Yeah, the reason why people think that Cambodia is not safe, because there's a lot of scammers going around. Unfortunately, that is in Sihanouk province. So all this I have experienced before, saving people from this scam, because we are working together with the Malaysian ambassador here. So what happened is that they promise you a job offer worth like
Yeah.
$4,000 as a customer service. They come here, and then immediately when they arrive, the passport is taken away. So there's two options for you to get out from there. Number one is that you pay an exit fee, which is about $20,000 to $30,000, or you work and scam for them for about 2 years, 3 years, and you have a target to meet every day. So our Malaysian ambassador here, he is very busy every day to save these scam victim. We are also involved in that, few of them. But it's very scary when you go to that province and Sihanouk, and then you see the real operation being carried out. It's really bad the way that they treat the people, especially our Malaysians. So that's why from us, this reputation, as I say, is a bad reputation. They are famous for a wrong reason, but that doesn't involve all the other provinces. It's only one province, which is the Sihanouk province, which the government now cracked down already on all these things. But still, there are some illegal stuff ongoing there. So if you ever come to Cambodia, there's only two places you can go, which is Phnom Penh, the town. But Phnom Penh is more towards like KL, unless you like shopping, all these things. But if you really want to look at nature, look at the history of Cambodia, you should go to Siem Reap, Angkor Wat. That would be the best place to go.
Anyway, so if the weather is good, then that is very important actually. Yeah. Safety, weather, like a very good fast factors. Yeah, that's a lot of very good information. I will be in contact with you a bit more to get more information. Thank you so much, so thank you so much. Yeah. You guys listen or not? Today got free tourism guide. All have enough of rest already. And hey, any more questions on assignment?
Not yet, doctor.
Not yet lah. Belum siap kah atau apa? Are we?
Everything okay, doctor?
Doctor, may I ask one question, please?
Yes,
Can I use one case study whereby in reality it actually applicable to all the uh, questions that you've drafted in our assignment?
Yeah, hopefully you can use one case study. Why not?
Okay, doctor, noted on that.
You don't have to give me 3 case studies, okay? No need at all. The main point is to have only one case studies. I mean, like if you have one case studies that can cover all the main issues, go for it. And you don't need to have 3 contract forms as well or 3 standards documents as well. That covers each different form, one different issues. No, everything is just one contract, one project. If you don't even have project at all, like I said, you can go for it from a very, very theoretical point of view. But obviously that one may not get you a good mark, not very high marks, because this is really for people who are those people who don't have a project, don't have working experience, don't have any examples, then we go for very theoretical write-up. It happens before last year when we have a few, 2 or 3 students that are actually not working at home. So they are the ones that need this sort of help. So that's why I do not want to set assignments now that really force you guys to come up with case studies. Yeah. So one case studies is more than fine. If like let's say if you have a case studies that only applicable to 1 and 2, but 3 you really don't have a case studies, like I told Saul just now, you could just use the international form and write according to the international forms as well. That could be also one approach. It's also okay, meaning that 2 you have case studies, 1 you don't have case studies. All fine, okay? All fine.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
I'm trying to maximize my screen. Let me off this one first. This is done essentially. No more no more attendance, correct? Not the 8 o'clock attendance is done. I'll do the. Can you all see my screen at the moment? Am I sharing my screen now?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
I want to unshare it. Where did I keep sharing? Where's my sharing?
About common law, doctor.
It's supposed to be there's a maximize, minimize here that is missing. I don't know why it's expanding. Video view. No. Oh no. Wait. Oh don't hide me. Show video view. Alternate control P. Alternate control. Control alternate P. This is the video. Hmm?
There is no button on the top there, where you can unshare it. There's like
Yeah.
a X button on top. I think just cancel share or stop sharing and
Yeah, it's supposed to be there, but I don't know where it went.
maybe you minimize the screen or you sort of make it big and then see on top there. Normally it come out on the top.
Yeah, sometimes there's a red thing on the top here, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but you can also use the bottom where you can stop sharing from the bottom, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, doctor. Yeah, doctor.
I want to create the list for just you guys want to go and take a break first. Let me sort this out first. Okay, you just give me 5 minutes or so. You guys go toilet or whatever. Get yourself a noodle or something like that.
Okay, doctor.
Okay, doctor. Okay, doctor.
Okay, I've managed to close the unshake. Okay. All right, let's get started. Is everybody back on the chick?
Yes.
Righty.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, let's finish up. Then we all close up and go for lunch later. All right, the last part of our class, the last bit today, essentially we finished 5 classes under me. We finished 5 classes under law contract management, 5 LUs under contract management. Okay, and then we also have one class in thought. That is a very, very important recording that you have to answer. I mean, you have to learn you have to listen because I can tell you now it's going to be part of the exams. All right. So I need you all to be very, very careful on that. Okay. Right. Let me open the slides. The last bit today, the last LU today actually is 5, 6, 7. The last LU today is actually on dispute resolution. Okay. So you can see that under contract matters, I did not cover dispute with you because it is supposed to be a separate class. Used to be, I gave a class on conflict management and also dispute management, but I have been feedback by the students that they have been learning through organizational behavior and all that. There's a class on OB that they're learning all this conflict management. So I decided not to cover conflict management anymore, but instead spend more time on dispute resolution. Okay, let me go and get my dispute resolution notes. In the Word file. Negligence and the law of tort is actually in recording. The notes is there available as well. So please go and take a look. Today don't know why my computers are very jammed like that. I don't know for what. Very interesting. I don't know what's happening here. Funny. Okay, right. So let's look at this dispute resolution. Okay. So share screen now. Can see the screen now? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, Prof.
Dispute resolution is when things like how when we actually on site most of the time it started out from a conflict. Okay, so having a conflict is actually quite common, and I'm not talking about people with people, this sort of like a human conflict, but it's more on matters pertaining to the work that we have conflicting opinion. And why did I say to Hafifi just now about no, Fairul just now about a quality, because a lot of times it can be a quality issues. For example, work are not done properly. The contractor did not actually do the compliance properly. You know, they send in the wrong materials and then have to resend again, and then it goes into, because it's very easy to have a quality issue, because quality out of so many things is a lot more subjective compared to time and cost. Time, you have a specific period that you need to meet, you see, and cost, you have a specific budget, and there is there's BQ, there's rates, there's schedule rates, all of that are there. So the dispute level are generally a lot lower, you see, compared to when, you know, it's difficult to dispute something that is fixed, you see, like a girl is a girl, a guy is a guy, you know, like you cannot dispute that, you see. You know, a chair is a chair, a table is a table. You cannot say that that chair looks like a table, you see. So, well, you can, but you know, a girl can also look like a guy can also be a girl now, you know. But whatever it is, there is some absoluteness to it. But quality, there tend to be a lot less absoluteness to it, is because not everything can be judged through testing. Not everything can be judged through supervision as well. And there is a lot less the clear yes or no, good or bad, accept or not accept. So there's many gray areas in disputes. Gray area, and this gray area are always the root of conflict. Like when I say something, the other party does not agree, and therefore we argue, and then we both disagree with one another, and we cannot find a resolution. So it becomes a conflict. Yeah, and conflict are usually managed by the project manager themselves, which means the designers or the architect or the engineers who are on the job. You know, that is professionally, you guys are supposed to manage that. Okay, and but unfortunately, a lot of times, because the project manager, they are actually from the client's people. They are the client's people. Either they are engaged under the client's for supervision, or they are actually the client's own team of people. So they tend to be a little bit more client friendly, more client sided. So it becomes a very adversarial relationship. Like, you know, the conflict flow into an adversarial relationship because there's no neutral third party there to try to help them to resolve this conflict. So then when things are moving into a dispute situation, okay, when things are moving into a dispute situation, many contracts will tell you that if you do have dispute cases, you need to refer to certain dispute resolution mode to resolve the dispute. So of course, the first thing is to resolve it using your own people, like in your own area, I mean, like your own project team, such as the supervisory team, the management team. You know, you come in and try to resolve it. That would be the first level of dispute management. Okay, so that is very similar with what you're going to be learning in what you have learned in conflict management. Okay, then if cannot be resolved within the project itself, then you will need a neutral third party to come in. Okay, and this neutral third party, okay, are people that you can agree upon, the both sides can agree upon. So meaning that when dispute started, dispute is not like conflict. Dispute is really like a full-blown disagreement, full-blown I wouldn't say quarrel, it sounds very petty, but a full-blown disagreement that internally you cannot resolve. So you need to actually, the issues will usually be very complicated, very big, that will affect payment, will affect continuation of the work. But as long as you move into formal dispute resolution, all work on site will be suspended. Okay, so suspension of work can be moved in. I mean, you can move in suspension of work when you are in dispute. Like it's a formal dispute, which means you're referring the dispute onto a formal dispute resolution. I mean, like a dispute resolution process. So it's not about suspending because you are quarreling. It's because both sides agree that we are going to facilitate a proper process to resolve the dispute. And these dispute are usually, these resolutions are usually in the order of these four: mediation, adjudication, arbitration, and litigation. Okay, so out of the four, so it means that if both sides agree that we are going to get somebody else to resolve this dispute through a third-party formal way of resolving a dispute, then work on site will be suspended, including payment will be suspended as well until the resolution comes. Okay, so mediation is the lightest, is the fastest way of doing it. Mediation sometimes is used interchangeably with the word conciliation. Okay, some places call mediation conciliation, some places call conciliation mediation, but the only difference between mediation and conciliation is the level of involvement from the third party. If the conciliator, or whichever, because in some country, this third party will suggest ways of resolving the dispute. That they will suggest solution. And some milder one would not. Some milder one would just facilitate you to talk to one another and for you to decide what sort of resolution you want to come to. So they will not give you a proper suggestion, like a full blast, step 1 to 10 suggestion on what you can or you cannot do. But either a mediator or a conciliator can. That's the only difference between a mediator and a conciliator. Some places, the mediator are a bit stronger, so they call it mediator, and the conciliator would be people who are less solution giving. Okay, but some places they call mediation a milder one, so conciliator becomes the more solution giving person. So both is the same. It's just that until the end, how much suggestion does the mediator give is depending on the process that you're looking at. So what I'm saying is that the word conciliator and mediator are used interchangeably. Like some countries, when they use mediator as a milder one, they will call the conciliator as a stronger one. But some country, they use mediator as a stronger one, but they use conciliator as a gentle one. So don't get confused, so it depends on the country, or depending on the law that you're looking at, like international law, like which one is which, you see. So make sure that, I think European, British, and America, sometimes they use these two terms, the balik one. It's just like soccer and football, they all means football, you see. So, but football is called different thing in soccer, in UK, so, and UK-based country, football, they call it soccer or something like that, and America call it football. So it's just a matter of the name that they use is different, you see. But the meaning is still about the same. So let's talk about mediator. So I'm just bringing you attention to the word conciliator. Also, don't say that, but the thing never tells us about conciliator. It's the same thing as mediator. It's just that if we say that mediator is the third party that help you to arrive. Help me to arrive means that I talk to you. In the end, whether you want to divorce or not, you make the decision, not me, you see. But conciliator is the one that I was saying, why don't you guys do it like this? Would you accept it if we do it that way, if we do it that way? So conciliator is a bit stronger. And also, they would not actually make the decision for you. Their job is to sit there and get the decision from the two sides and put it down on paper into a formal terms and agreement, terms and conditions, so that when both of you sign, he is the witness here to witness the whole process and to draft out this mediation agreement. Okay, and that both of you come to a resolution already. So they are the ones that write that resolution, you know, and then to also facilitate that resolution. So meaning that he also try to make sure that you follow. So mediation appears as a mode in PAM standard form. Okay, it also appears as a mode of dispute resolution in CIDB form. Okay, and not everybody can be a mediator. A mediator must, okay, a mediator must be trained. Okay, they must have license. Okay, that it was proper training that a mediator must go through before he or she can be a mediator. Mandatory mediation means that in CIDB forms, whether you have dispute, after you have dispute or not, whether you want to sue or not, it's not a choice. You must go for mediation first before you do anything else. Okay? So it's mandatory mediation, whereas PAM form is optional mediation. I believe PAM form also also write arbitration as a mode. So you can either choose mediation or the adjudication as a mode, either one of them. So all these two forms are, for government form, usually will be arbitration. Okay, so for these two forms, they actually bring in mediation. Okay, so it advise people to go for a gentler way of resolving disputes. Okay, there's some questions that we always want to answer, like how mandatory mediation is. You see, so if it's a mandatory mediation, you have to go for mediation, whether you agree to go for it or not, whether you wish to go for it or not. But if it's an optional one, you can say no to it if one party disagree to go for mediation. So with no statutory regime regulating it, how can one legally enforce such provision if one party refuses to abide by the provision and attempt mediation? Well, contract tells you that. So contract is basically, there's no statutory, meaning that there's no legislative law or anything that says that you must, in construction, you must go for this resolution as a mediation as a resolution. But there is statutory requirement on adjudication for payment. So the SIPA Act is statutory already, but there's no statutory mediation act and like that force people to go for mediation. Again, it goes back to the contract itself. Okay, if the contract states that you should, you must do mandatory, then you have to use it. If it's optional, you can choose mediation as an option. So even if the mediation agreement or clause is enforceable and the refusal to attend may be breach of contract, what will be the remedy for the non-defaulting party? Okay, basically, if I mean, this is a very interesting question. Like, what can you do? You know, if let's say the party, suppose there is a mandatory mediation and the person didn't want to do it, you know, what can the other party do? Well, if it's a contract thing, if it's mandatory, then there's no choice, obviously. There's no such thing as you don't want to, you know. So you still have to adopt it as the mandatory options, or otherwise escalate to litigation. What to do? Litigation also involve whether, you know, the court actually take your case or not. You know, some cases the court may not want to take, and they will advise you to go for alternative dispute resolution method like mediation or arbitration, because the amount that you're talking about here, the seriousness of things that you're talking about here may not be life and death and all this sort of things. So when you go to litigation, it has to involve a huge economic loss and, in fact, affecting public liability, life, and all that. Then you have a better chance to be able to go for litigation. Litigation is like on the court, okay? Right. I do not want to cover adjudication with you today first, okay? But let me finish one by one. This note is a bit confusing. Yeah, I want to go through the process of mediation first. Okay. Mediation process is like this. Mediation process is you must first appoint a mediator. You know, the two parties must agree on appointing a mediator, and then agree that you will be meeting somewhere that is conducive for negotiation. So it could be the office of the mediator, okay, or it could be somewhere that very neutral among the three parties. Yeah, for example, hotel. Okay, for example, I don't know. For example, some government agencies office or something like that. Yeah, or universities even. You know, so you must have an environment that is agreed also by all the parties, because otherwise, if it's not a conducive environment, like if I get you to go to one of the disputing parties office, you may not be happy because I don't want to be here. You see, so it's going to be defeating the purpose of the negotiation completely. You see, so we don't want that, right? So then what happens is it will be there will be opening statement by the mediator. He will define his role as the mediator and describe how neutral, how confidential this is, you know, and then what are the privacy agreement between the two of them, saying that, you know, this is not going to go out beyond this room, and then, you know, it's only for the ears of the people. Whoever is not relevant have to go out, you know, and all that. So, you know, he will set down the basic rules for negotiating here. Okay, then he will invite each side to present his case. So, you know, like we can talk about what is the happening, what is the problem, you know, but he will keep the environment as conducive as possible, meaning that don't get upset. You know, like somebody have to state what is happening, you know, what does he see from his point of view. Like if I'm a client side, I will say, okay, the case happens like this, it was a situation like this, like this. So they will present the, you know, his side of the story, and the other side will also present his side of the story. So all this while, the mediator must learn to control the whole situation. I mean, like, seriously, you know, when you are sitting in front of each other, you know, when you talk about the problem, people tend to get more and more hot, you know, tend to get more and more upset, and tend to get more and more in-depth, and tend to get more and more attacking. That would be the usual case, you see. So the mediator really has to be the person who diffuse the situation, you know, say, okay, now, or control, you know, the other side, can you please hold your emotion, let the other guy finish, you know, and it will go on like that, okay? And then usually, very often, he will have another separate meeting after listening to these cases. So both of then he will say, okay, do you understand his point of view? Do you understand his point of view? Then he will separately pull out one of them to talk to him and have a deeper conversation to that guy. Okay, and then this process will be repeated with the other guy. So this is like trying to hear that the other guy hear the story of the side, you know, like disputing party. You party A, you listen to each other. Party A and B, you listen to each other. Now, come down. Okay, I go and talk to you separately. Okay, so in this case, he will ask questions to that separate person and say that, do you really want to do it like this, like this? Do you think that is really the reason that you are upset? Do you think there are some underlying problem of why the situation is the way it is? So when you take these two parties away, you are actually trying to discuss further, trying to find out further what is the actual issues. Is there anything that is on the surface is not clear? Okay, but after the in-depth discussion with one of the party, you will realize that the situation may be something else. You see, right.
So it has to be, it may be something else, and therefore, it needs to be done, that way, you see. But maybe, you can give, I'm like, as a mediator, normally we do not give suggestion. We try to generate them to think about the suggestion. So then after you talk about these two things together, and then when you talk to the other party, that have you ever see it like this, maybe the other party did not meant it to be like this, would you maybe can come down and, see it from that perspective? Do you think you can see it from that perspective? So once you finish the sessions with the other two parties separately, they will bring them back together and get them to generate the solution together. Because when they're each other, they already hear each other's problem, then we separately also talk to them. So when they come back together to close the circle, it is like trying to see that. So you understand his point, what do you think, what do you think is the best solution? So they, you want them to come up with the settlement, not you tell them what's the settlement. But if you are a conciliator, you will probably give some suggestion. Would you accept it? Do you think you can do this, or that is a conciliator. He is again not finalizing things for the people, for the disputing party, but he is trying to generate an agreement into the two parties. Okay, so this is a very mild way, very, very gentle, very, very unoffensive way of getting using mediator as a resolution person. So again, appointment of mediator, the mediator has to be a very impartial person. It's not somebody's relative. It's not somebody's, you've probably never met him before. It's even better. You can get lawyers to be mediator, or you can get engineers to be mediator as well. I would suggest if it's a really, really practical problems, like a on-site practical problems, the mediator has to be somebody with an engineering background, not a lawyer. Okay, if it's a very distinct dealing with a final point of law, like a very specific loophole in the law and all sort of things, mistakes, misrepresentations, avoiding contract and all that, then you ask lawyers to come into the picture. Okay, so this person must be very calm, he must have good interpersonal skills, and all that. So this is the ground rules for mediation. So you can read through that, so identify the party, describe the elements, state the time and value, require presence of the decision makers in the meeting, define the methods of presentation, discuss the procedures, require confidentiality, and then finally, he will write up the conditions and all that. I mean, he will write up the terms and conditions, and what is the agreement between the two of them, and then try to be there to help them to see this thing being executed as it's supposed to be. And that's it for mediation. Okay, right. Then we have another, I want to talk about adjudication separately. So I will give you adjudication recording separately. So we will not discuss about adjudication process. Okay, so adjudication process. Just a very, very, very brief overview, of adjudicating process is basically okay. In Malaysia at the moment, we only use adjudication processes. It's like a procedures referring the dispute to a third party called an adjudicator, and it must be appointed within a certain limit. But adjudicator decision is binding.
Okay, but it's not necessarily final because you still can go for arbitration. Adjudication is like a mini, very, very mini personal court that you have with the two parties. So it's like a mini trial, you know, a small trial that is not formal like court proceedings, not as formal as an arbitration process. So it's like adjudicator is a third party that is appointed for the projects. Like many international contract would have adjudicator as, meaning that before you even go into dispute resolution, before you even have a dispute, you generally will have a list of adjudicators there that you will be appointing if there is a dispute. And these people, they are very neutral to the project. And what they do is they will come in every time you have a dispute, and then he will sit down and try to not like mediator, get you to court and all that, yeah, but it's more like to help you to find a solution to your dispute. And then you must follow his decision is he will make decision for you. He's like a mini judge. Okay, the whole thing is like a mini trial, a very, very mini trial that is done in a very neutral environment. Okay, it's very similar with arbitration, but arbitration is very, very formal. Even from appointment of arbitrator to the appointment of adjudicators, they are all arbitrator is a lot more formal, a lot more. Arbitrator is almost like a court already. It's just that you don't go to court. It's just like a sub-con court. You see, because not every case can go to court, so they sub-con it to arbitration. And now arbitration has become very, very formal as well. So then every project, they may do their own adjudication. Okay, so that process is a lot more formal than mediation. It's a lot more stricter. It's a lot more serious than adjudication, but it's a lot formal than court and arbitration. This is very personal, very, very project. Adjudicator is like a mini trial in your project. Not in your small corner, you have a room that every time you have a dispute, let's come in here, we bring in the adjudicators, then we sort out the problems there. You know, so that is a role of adjudication. All right. So then it started off from the English Housing Grants, Construction and Regeneration Act. So statutory adjudication is available. Okay. Contractual adjudication at the moment, yes, it's under PAM. Okay, PAM has contractual adjudication. So PAM has optional mediation or contractual, or either adjudication or mediation as an option. Okay, so let's skip adjudication first, and I will go straight to arbitration. Okay, so arbitration is like a third level. An arbitrator is a private judge. It's the private judge that is appointed by the party. Okay, so it has to be somebody who is really very, very. An arbitrator is not any engineer or any QS, any architect, any lawyer, any judge can be an arbitrator. It will usually have to be a formally trained arbitrator. A training for arbitrator in Malaysia has to go through about 3 stages. You have to go through preliminary stages. We call it an associate arbitrators. That means you've already learned all the basic things about arbitration, basic knowledge on arbitration. And then after that, when you're over 35, you can go under the tutelage of a formal arbitrator. Then after a formal tutelage of certain numbers of years, also helping to write certain awards, then you can be you can sit for exam and then do a case on your own. Then you'll be awarded an arbitrator. Then you can practice as an arbitrator. So even lawyers have to go through arbitration certification. But it's easier for them because they already know many parts of the law, the legal part. But if engineers, architects, and other professions go become an arbitrator, normally they are
they are trained in the law part, but they only always really handle cases that are related to their own industry, like engineering. It's just like me, if I'm the arbitrator, I wouldn't handle any insurance cases, I wouldn't handle any shipping cases, I wouldn't handle any banking cases. I will handle purely construction cases, and I will probably be handling cases that is even more specific, such as development cases, such as pipeline water related structures cases. So we normally will stick to arbitrators as in your civil. Let's say if I'm a civil engineer, I stick to civil industry. If I'm a structure engineers, environmental engineers, I will stick to cases that are in that area. Because to select an arbitrator, I will explain that later in the process. So we call it arbitrator have arbitrary power. So meaning that when they observe, they will observe the two parties' argument and then give a sentence, like give some form of judgment. But the judgment we use for judges. Arbitrators, we use the word award, and the word is binding. It's definitely binding. Okay, and normally cannot be challenged anymore. If you challenge it, it will have to go to court. Okay, only court can challenge it, but nobody else can challenge an arbitrator's award. Okay, and in the arbitrator awards, there will be things like penalty, there will be things like who is right, who's wrong, very specific sentences as well. Okay, so it's just like it's exactly like a court, only that person is not a judge. Okay, and international, like so you all definitely, if there's a dispute, you will go for international arbitration. No, that one. Nobody working in international arena will go for any local arbitration or local mediation or adjudication. Only international arbitration. Very common. Okay. You will not want to use the other party's court as well. Okay. And the other party will not use your own country's court as well. So arbitration under the United Nations Commission International Trade Law, the UNICITRA model law, there is international commercial arbitration, and you can choose a location that is completely nothing to do with your country. A lot of arbitration will go in places like Singapore and Hong Kong. Okay, for Asia. Like let's say you have a country like that, you have a Malaysia company working in Cambodia. You are not going to get the Cambodian to come here and be judged by your judges. Okay, you will go for and then you're not going to go to Cambodia and put under their law. Okay, and if you choose a location for arbitration, it will also be at a neutral location. A country that has nothing to do with the dispute, such as Singapore, for example. Yeah, right in the middle ground. So you won't choose Cambodia, you won't choose that region, you won't choose Indonesian region as well, you probably choose Singapore. Okay. And then if China and other places like we and China, Malaysia, China, Southeast Asia, and East Asia dispute, normally Hong Kong is quite common because these two countries use English. Yeah, so English is a very important language when it comes to international dispute. Okay, and you're not going to use a specific country's language. Like here, we've got Malays, Indonesia, we've got Indonesians. Many countries have their own different national language. English is a second language, so we will generally use English is the first language area as for international. Yeah, so arbitration, there is also an act to it. So Arbitration Amendments Act 2011. So in Malaysia, we also have the act that talks about arbitration as well. Yeah, so it's something that is guided statutory among the law. I mean, like there is references in terms of law. And in contractual arbitration is JKR 203, PAM 2006, CIDB also have arbitration. And we also have the JKR Standard Form also call for arbitrating as one of the dispute resolution process. So these are all contract code. Contract will ask you if you have a dispute to resolve it using this model, and there will not, none of this says that you can go to court. Okay, so you be very careful. Don't simply sue people, because dispute resolution has to go through all the contractual dispute resolution model first before you can execute to go to court. Okay, so contract dispute resolution method is already there in the contract, so you have to follow the contract first before you can exercise litigation. Okay? Litigation, of course, is to go to court. Okay, it's a court proceedings. There will be a real winner, there will be a loser, there will be lawyers, there will be judges, there will, it is no good person will go for court, Abraham Lincoln already said, discourage litigation, persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. Because if you go to court, you are only giving money to the lawyers. You're wasting time and money of the taxpayer as well, because judges are employed by taxpayer, okay? So they are sitting there listening to your dispute, and that dispute has to be big enough to be a dispute to go to court. And what do you mean by big enough? Matters of life and death, matters of public liability, matters of huge economic losses. These are only reason why you go to court. Okay, so what are the process of arbitration? I will quickly go through that. Okay. First and foremost, you will start off with the appointment. Both sides has to agree we are going for arbitration. Oh, very funny. You cannot agree on anything, and yet you want to agree to go and resolve the dispute with arbitration. This is something that always baffles me, actually. So when somebody are fighting like tooth and want to kill each other already, and you say that, okay, do you agree to go for arbitration? The other party will probably say no just for the sake of saying no, okay? So yeah, so that is the first thing. You have to make sure that both agree to go for arbitration. But of course, if it's a contractual provision there that goes that needs you to go for arbitration, then there is no choice. Also, both of you should agree on going for arbitration. Okay. Right. So it means that the parties intended to have an arbitrator as a sole arbitrator to solve the case. So then, so this person is like an umpire. He's like a referee. Okay. The maximum numbers of arbitrator is 3. Okay. But normally, international, for example, will be 3. International contract will be 3. But most of normal local arbitration, you only pick 1 because they are expensive. They're not cheap, my dear. Okay. So don't think that the more the merrier. You have to pay for them, all their fees and everything. They come, hotel, makan, minum, everything has to be paid by the person who is going to lose out later on. Okay. Right. So having 3 arbitrators really is a better process, but like I said, they are expensive. And then also, it's not easy to find because all 3 come at the same time. All 3 are free at the same time. All 3 have to agree on the same thing. It can be very tedious. Okay, so we can have sole arbitration for like a tribunal of arbitrators. Okay. So then the other thing is you have to appoint an arbitrator. So how do you appoint arbitrators? I cannot simply say, hey, I want to get this guy to be arbitrator. No, cannot. You have to go to the International or Chartered Institute of Arbitrators or Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators to actually go and look for an arbitrator. There will be a list of registered arbitrator, trained registered arbitrator in their record, in their filing. And then you ask that I want to have a case, I want to have a arbitrator that is in civil civil engineering. Okay, so then this Chartered Institute of Arbitrators or Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators will give you the will give you the list of names that is registered under their portfolio. Actually, all arbitrators have to register with the Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators. Okay, Chartered Institute of Arbitrators is international organization that is sort of like the Chartered Institute is everywhere in the world they use Chartered Institute. Malaysian ones are the one that is solely in Malaysia. So chartered ones are the ones that deals with international cases more. Yeah, so you can look for it on the both sides, it's fine. It doesn't matter. They are the same thing actually. It's still the same thing. It's just that one deals a lot with the name list that is under Malaysia. Another one maybe deals with the name list. There is more availability of international arbitrators. Okay, so it's better if you look for Chartered Institute of Arbitrators if your case is actually an international case. If it's a local case, I think it's sufficient to look for the Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators. They will have the same. All arbitrators need to register with them. So they have the whole portfolio, they have the whole files of storage files of the arbitrators. So they will be able to tell you, give you the list. And then you tell them both sides have to agree. Both sides have to agree which arbitrator they select. So they will go through the list and then say, okay, I think I will go for Mr. A, C, D. So the other side will say, okay, I can accept Mr. A and C. So let's agree on one name. So that guy will be appointed through the Institute of Arbitrators to be your arbitrators. Okay. Then you will confirm that then they will initiate a notice of arbitration to the other party. Okay. There will be the confirmation now saying that okay, we are going to be in dispute. So we are going to refer our dispute to arbitration. So there will be first this notice of arbitration and then appointment of arbitrators. Okay, or if you really cannot appoint anybody as an arbitrator, you can ask the institute to appoint for you, or you can ask High Court to appoint for you. So normally High Court will ask you to look for the institute, such as like Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators or the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. If you cannot agree, they will appoint it for you. Okay, so then you need to pick a venue. Okay, you need to pick a venue. Then it's about setting the procedures to appoint the arbitrators. So once the appointment of arbitrators, okay, it will be recognized in court. Yeah? The whole process is actually recognized in court. Okay, so the arbitration process will first start with you both parties actually confirm on venue, and then the appointed arbitrator will convey when is the meeting, then where is the venue, and then he will call. He will issue an order of directions. That meeting will that meeting will usually be about setting down the ground rules, setting up what can be done, what can you say, what are the processes that you're going for, and in a form of order of directions, meaning that he will write down after talking to the two sides what is the process that he is going to use. Okay, because arbitration requires a discovery process. Discovery process means that there will be a time that the arbitrator needs to know what is happening. Okay, so this is what we call a discovery process. A discovery process can be many stages. Number one, it can be the most milder one, the mildest one is the document inspection. So once you inspect the document, okay, you send the bundles of documents to one another. So you get the contractor's document, you get the contractor's document will be bundled up in certain agreed bundles, claimants bundle, respondents bundle. Then after that, okay, the arbitrator can straight away from the bundled documents make award, can write. If the cases is that clear, that simple, then you can actually write an award and both sides will have to follow. But if the arbitrator calls for a hearing, meaning that based on this agreed bundle, on top of that, we will also have a hearing, meaning that you now have to engage the claimant and the respondents, have to engage somebody who can argue the case for them, and they will also bring in expert witnesses, and also both sides may need to bring in expert witnesses and people who has been in the case, people who are in the dispute to come and be in a hearing. This is exactly like court. So the claimant side will bring in their witnesses, they'll bring in their documents, they'll bring in their evidences to be listened by the arbitrators, and the other side will have a chance to bring in their own expert witness, their own witnesses, and then their own document and evidences as well to present to the arbitrator. So it can be stopped at bundles, it can be stopped at documents only, but it can also go through hearing as well. Okay. If it's go through hearing, then you may need to bring in lawyers to help you. But it can be difficult. You can choose to argue the case yourself, but lawyers would not like that. So normally, they will advise. That the arbitrator will also advise you to bring in a professional lawyer to actually help you to. If they can talk better in a way, takut nanti, you know the thing, you are very professional, but you don't know how to present your case. So therefore, when there is a hearing, we normally would ask the lawyer to help to actually to actually make the documents a bit clearer, to see how to write and how to present the case in a more systematic manner, so that you will not like you are not disadvantaged in that sense. Like let's say if I go, I can, if I'm good at it, my own project manager are good at it, he can be the one arguing, but he's not good, and then he miss out on certain points. So therefore, we want lawyers, somebody who's trained in talking, to go and present the case and to go for the hearing normally. Yeah. So yeah, the arbitrators must make it clear to both parties whether you're going to go for documents only, whether you're going to need hearing as well. Hearing normally is whereby the documents still have things that needs to be witnessed, or need to be need to find out more information from the people involved. So that's why they ask for. That's why they ask for hearing. Okay, so that is whereby expert witnesses are coming in to actually hold for and to present the case as well. You need to talk about the case as well. So it means that normally the arbitrators find that the documents still have things that is unclear, and therefore they want to call for hearing, and that needs you to bring in expert. That is the normal case situation. So yeah, it can be broadly be said that pre-hearing procedures, pleading, discovery, bundling document, expert witness, it has to be all in the whole processes as well. Not to say that you go to court, you bring in this thing. Before that, it has to be all there. It's just like proceedings. It's exactly like you need to prepare these documents, you need to prepare all these statements, expert witness report are all there. When they bring you in, it's just that when you sit for the hearing, it's mainly to clarify certain points only already. You don't have time to sit there and present your case up and down, and talk about the whole story and all that. No, the arbitrator should know the whole story already, by all the documents, statements, and funding of documents, pleadings. The pleadings is like the case already, the background story. Okay, the discovery is the one that they will review the documents. Yeah. So in the end, the arbitrator will give a formal award. Okay, and this formal award is what we call that is power vested in him. So it's a functions official. So meaning that the arbitrator is really is really given power to actually spell out the rights and liabilities of the parties. So in the appeal itself, okay, he has that role. He is given that power to give award. And then if unless you challenge that award, you go to court, then this is the part that you can appeal to go to court. So it's only after arbitration, if contractually you are supposed to go for arbitration and you lost, and then you baru go to court, you see. So like I said, you cannot simply sue because that is not the dispute resolution method that is stated in the contract. So you have to be very careful with the contract that you sign. You already agreed if there's a dispute, you all go to arbitration, mediation, adjudication first, or any one of them first. Then, when the arbitrators award come down, you can go to challenge. You can bring this thing to the High Court within 30 days of the award, and then use that. That will be part of the court proceedings already, if the court accept your appeal. You see, so if they accept your appeal, that means whatever final things that come out from the court can stand firm with the arbitration award, or it can overrule. Only the court can overrule arbitration. Okay. Okay. So it's only when, sorry, this functions of this, he is given the power to give award, but when this award has been when appeal is pending, okay, when there is a High Court appeal pending, but he is no longer having the power to be invested in him, and also he will relieve his task. So that means the arbitrator job is finished already. Everything now leaves. So that will be the whole arbitration, the relationship between arbitration and court and litigation. And arbitration acts to uphold these things. Award is binding unless award actually is conflicting with public policy of Malaysia, like criminal, or breach of natural justice, this sort of things. So then arbitration can be overruled by court, and court is the only one that can overrule arbitrations. So I think that is very clear. Okay. So go to court. I do not want to talk about going to court. So there is this thing here. I think we all know. Magistrate court, High Court. After High Court, court will appeal back to High Court again. And so we went through the whole processes of court in your number one lecture. I went through with you what things are actually done at subordinate courts and what things are actually done in High Courts and Court of Appeal. Okay, High Court is Court of Malaya, High Court of Sabah and Sarawak, two different ones, and the higher one is Court of Appeal, and then the highest one is the Federal Court or Special Courts. Okay, so this one is under the processes of trials. It's really pre-trials, preliminary proceedings, trials, post-trial. So these are the main stages of litigation. Okay, so yeah, I will leave it as it is now. And yes, so there's part on international arbitration. People like Fairul now. You have to learn international arbitration now because you're dealing a lot with international contractors now.
China contractors.
China. So if there is a dispute, likely is you will go to international arbitration. So this part is something that both of you should read more carefully.
How does it work basically, Doctor? Because they form a JV here with our local contractors. So basically we're following the local contractors, right?
The contract is a Malaysian contract. Okay, if you sign the Malaysian contract, but there's a dispute, usually the both sides can agree that it must be done. Your contract will usually involve international contractors. International contractor will be smart enough to say that if there's a dispute, you will go to international arbitration.
I see. So there should be a specific clause on the contract letter, so I have to look into it.
Yeah. And also if you choose to go, if you end up going for that, it may say arbitration, okay? But before the international contractors sign, okay, they will actually request to review that and say that go for international arbitration. If they miss out on that part also, because arbitration has to be a agreement and consent by two parties. See? So in order to resolve the dispute, both sides have to consent. So even if you sign if the JV between local contractors and also international contractors, they are together against you and Sarawak Metro, right? And then let's say arbitration is already the way to resolve the dispute. Both sides very natural for both sides to consent to go for international arbitration and to be held in places like Singapore.
Okay, noted.
Because your local metro also cannot force that we must use local rules because your contractor is international. The international ones will also be not so stupid to say I want to follow Malaysian dispute resolution method. No, they wouldn't, because even if they go for it and there's an award later, they may challenge it if they're lawsuit because they said it's not fair, but you are on your home ground.
Okay.
This is very valid to start off with. Normally, when we involve international contractors, international contract, you will go for international arbitration.
Okay, touch wood, you won't go to that stage lah.
Because but the thing is, if you don't go to that stage, then I think it's very important that your project, especially Sarawak Metro, to execute certification. Certification is a lot milder and it solves cases a lot faster. So meaning that
Yes.
your organization and the parties, that group of people will already have agreed that, in small matters, let's have an adjudicator. Let's already appoint 3 or 4 adjudicators.
Mhm.
3 at least, so that
Yeah.
you can, because not all adjudicators are free all the time, they are also busy with their own work. So if you have 3 adjudicators in your own hands, every time there is a dispute or the sign of dispute coming up, you quickly pull up your adjudicators and then you guys can solve it right then and there. So for
Okay,
big projects, not go for big dispute like this already. If you go for big dispute arbitration, international arbitration, now this thing at least 5 years also cannot solve one.
Yeah, it'll be very dragging lah.
Very draggy. So the fastest way is to appoint adjudicators. Try to look into adjudication as a mode of.
Okay, I think the relevant department have been looking into it, I guess lah. The Department of Legal and CNC lah.
Yeah, but at least you know lah, huh?
Yeah, correct. For basic knowledge lah.
Yeah, but at least I tell you, this a lot of Malaysian procurement team and also contract team, they're very poor one, actually. Very, very poor one.
Yeah, because I think I can recall this one project by Malaysian contractor. I think in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. Those days they went for arbitration. I think 2013 or 2014 lah. It was quite dragging. Went for few years lah for that.
Yeah, serious, because you need to be at the international location, and then
Yes.
this month payment I'm free, I can go, but the other side cannot go. You see? So the respondent says, I cannot go, the date cannot set one. So one trial, one hearing may take 3 or 4 times, delay 3 or 4 times. Now 1 year you probably only have 1 or 2 hearings.
Yes, correct.
And sometimes arbitrators cannot go also, so you still have to fit in a time for 3 parties. Because you're not doing it as a local environment where you drive a car, and park in the car park, and walk out, you see. So this one has to buy tickets, have to fly to that venue, to that location. It needs 3 people to be available, you see, and you need your expert witness, your witnesses, and all that to be available as well, So it can be very draggy, very draggy. I mean,
Yes,
I hear
correct.
at least one of these cases to even from a walk all the way down to from starting appointment all the way to 5 years minimum.
I think most of them already appointed for other projects already, then be called upon for the arbitration lah.
Yeah. It's very, very true. Okay. I think that's all from me for dispute resolution. Like I said, I want to give a very special attention to adjudication. I think our industry will be moving towards adjudication and be gone with litigation and also arbitration. mediation is also one very mild way, but mediation sometimes it's not very effective because it's very gentle. So identification may be the right way to go for. So that's why I want to spend a couple 50, 60 minutes properly on identification. So I will give you pre-recorded lecture now. So once I put it up, I will let you guys know, okay?
Okay, noted, Dr. Ting.
Okay, let me open up the QR code for you guys for these sessions. It's wrong with my computer this morning. Eh? Let me close it first. I think it's something to do with the overdue. No leh. Oi. I log out first, huh? Gamble, don't know why. Weird. I really have no idea. I cannot open the QR code for some reasons. I think it's sort of like going cuckoo already. Overheated maybe. You all can you cannot see my screen at the moment, right?
No, nothing.
Just our WebEx punya names and all that lah, huh?
Yes, correct.
Oh yeah, can. Now baru dapat. Aduh. Share screen.
Okay. Okay. Oh, he is all popping already, huh? Okay. Nothing on my screen at the moment, right?
Yes, nothing, Dr. Ting.
Okay. All right. I need to give you some briefing on the exam. Okay. Um, there will be 4 questions in the exam. Okay. 2 of the questions, yeah, I think I better do this. Don't want to get into trouble later. All right. There'll be 4 questions from me and Dr. Ambrose, and one question is 25 marks. So the exam paper, when you do it, is 100 marks. So then later on, we will convert it to 40 marks from the final marks. Okay, so you don't worry about the conversion. It's none of your business. So basically, one question in the overall picture is 12.5 marks. Yeah. So total is not 12.5 marks. No, actually, it's only 12.5 marks? No, 14 marks. Divide by 4. 10 point something. Oh well, you don't worry about it, okay? So so what happened is each and every one of the question you have to answer fully, yeah. You all can hear me, yeah? You can,
Yes.
this is also recorded already here, okay? Later on you can go back and listen to it again. So basically the 4 questions, 2 questions will be from Dr. Ambrose, okay? And 2 questions will be from me, okay? First question from Dr. Ambrose is dealing with legislation, okay? And you need to be able to, all engineering contracts are actually signed between, it's recognized by the law of Malaysia. Under the Contract Act, what is the difference between void and voidable contract, okay? So you need to provide examples on voidable contract. You need to provide example of void and voidable contracts. Situations whereby you are voiding what is a void engineering contract and what is a voidable engineering contract. So this is one of the questions. Okay. Question 1. And then you need to understand the concept of mistake. What is the concept of mistake? And how many types of mistakes that you can have in an engineering contract, and explain them. And because mistake in contract can make the contract void. So can you give examples of situations whereby there is mistake in a contract and then end up voiding the contract? Okay. I'm giving you the questions, Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, we
seriously
take
giving
note of
the
that, Dr.
question.
Ting. Dr.
Uh,
Ting.
oh my gosh. Don't say don't tell people I tell so it is, huh? Okay. Then there is he also has a second question that he set based on normally the second questions are always revolving around things like Occupational Health and Safety Act and also Environmental Acts lah, huh? I think both of these you have to learn now. Go and read on those things. I mean, I'm sort of reducing your revision scope already lah, huh? Because if I need to learn ordinances on the land and all that, I think there's a lot of things. But this two is something that you should learn, and mainly focusing also on environmental acts. So we're talking about how the acts actually define pollutions. You know, what are the four major pollutions? What does the Environmental Quality Act says about pollution? Okay, and then in your industry or related to your work, can you elaborate? Can you elaborate how? Can you elaborate four situations whereby there was an environmental hazards? You see, uh, the environmental hazard and how that affects health, safety, you know, and then also how the legislation also calls for what does the legislation says about these health hazards? So let's say if I say that mm, if I say that let me think okay, let's say you are in the manufacturing, okay, and then you are throwing things into the river, and then you're causing the river pollution, the hazards in the river. Very, very specific case of river that in your project, for example, river water pollutions and all that. And so actually, it's not like that. The question is like, one is more on the type of pollutions. Like for example, water pollution, and like for us construction, we've got water quality, we've got air, you know, we've got noise, we've got sound, you know. So what does the legislation tells the construction industry to do to manage these sort of things, these sort of pollution? Okay. And the next question is you need to talk about four environmental uh environmental happening, something like four very famous case of environmental hazards, health environmental hazards in the industry. Okay, I mean in your industry, and then what are the penalty? What are the actions taken? And what does the legislation says about them? So it really needs you to know the legislation. It doesn't need, I mean, like you need to know the pollutions, you need to know the environmental hazards, the examples of environmental hazards. Like for example, I think that time KL they were talking about this radiation, nuclear radiation site and all that. That one is a hazard, environmental hazard, the real examples of those hazards. And what does our environmental act says about overcoming this or not allowing this or penalizing these people? What does it say? So you must know your environmental acts very carefully. And you also must know some part of your Occupational Health and Safety Act to also answer this sort of question. You understand? So you need, when you do the revision, you need to draw out all these necessary environmental and health safety acts punya sections and learn those sections very carefully, read through those things and then practice on it and then apply it onto pollutions, apply it onto real environmental case studies. Okay? Faham tak?
Noted, Dr. Ting.
Others? Any questions from others?
No, doctor.
Clear? And then my questions is actually more on contract and dispute. Okay, whatever you've learned for the past few weeks from me, there'll be 2 questions on it. I will give you a scenario, okay, that will actually have a few things in it. For example, I can give you a scenario on a project delay. So then you need to elaborate on 2 contract issues. So one of the contract issues will be delay. Okay. One of the contract issues will be LAD. One of the contract issues can be that because when I give you that scenario, within that scenario, you can easily take out 2 contract issues. Okay, like for example, like that one, my site will be having a delay, something like that, or there's amendment to the design, and then you are asked to submit alternative design, you know, and then which needs instructions and approval from the SO, you know, something like that. You need to point out 2 contractor issues. So one of the issues can be alternative design. One of the issues can be site instruction. And these are there's 2 issues already. So based on that, what does your contract says about that? That you cannot bring contract documents in there, but then you need to remember your contract documents. So all the necessary, I mean, I won't need you to remember close by close, word by word, but at least you need to point out that issues like site instruction, variation order, something like that, you know, for you to be able to relate that into your contract. So you need to write the answers like that. So like, okay, my site instructions typically in pen form, site instructions is covered like this, you know, and then it's covered like this, and you must issue like this. So you need to explain, you need to elaborate the one chosen. For example, if you choose EOT as one of the contractual issues, then you need to explain what is EOT, what is payment, what is site instructions, what is amendments to designs, you know, like the major issues that I've covered with you. So you need to elaborate on the issues itself first. Then you talk about the rights and responsibilities of the people. Okay. And then what is the actions that must be taken? Okay, to justify that with the actions that must be taken. So what can you do to make this situation better in relation to the contract? Okay. Then on the dispute one, you need to learn arbitration and adjudication. What is the process of adjudication? What is the process of adjudication, and how they resolve conflict? And what are the differences, how they resolve conflicts? And you need to elaborate on SIPA. So I will give you a recording on SIPA. You really must learn that recording, and that will be able to help you with the answering of this question. Okay. So adjudication and SIPA. The last bit is on professional negligence, duty of pay and standard of pay in the law. Okay, so that would be the questions, dispute, negligence. So my one covers all the things that I've covered. I mean, like to give you a bit better tips, for the scenario questions, learn on site instructions, learn on supervision by superintending officers, learn on approval, learn on variation, learn on design, alternative design. So the notes that is mainly covered in chapter 4, the one that I went through with you. And of course, some bit of it is in chapter 3, okay, on the approval of superintending officers, site instructions and all that. Okay, the site instructions is more in chapter 3, the part 3 of the notes. Then the rest you can go through your part 4. So this is to narrow down your revision. So those are the issues that I will be more or less you see in the questions later on. this year I'm not coming up with time and payment now because I think time and payment we've already covered that quite a lot in your assignment already. So I'm covering more on things in the exam. I'm covering more on things on the LU4 and LU3. Okay, not LU4, part 3 and part 4 of the contractual matters. And you must learn your duty of care and standard of care. What is considered of duty of care? What is considered as standard of care? Okay. What is standard of care? What is duty of care? What are the elements of duty of care? What are the elements of standard of care? And what, like if you don't do it, you are being sued for negligence. So professional negligence in terms of duty of care and standard of care. And then learn your arbitration and adjudication processes, advantages. Okay, for that. Then also the whole process of CIPA 2012 on payment dispute. I think that's all. I'm giving you the whole entire question already, okay? You cannot ask me for more details and any more, very detailed already.
Thank you, Dr. Ting. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Throw down so that you all don't have to die what revision. Because this subject revision a lot, you know, a lot of things. Many things are reading one. I think some of you will kaput on. Really, really kaput. So I narrow down already. You focus on these things and do well in your environmental situation. Go and draw up things that is related to public safety, public health. Draw up things on environmental health. You know, environmental things on pollutions hazards environmental hazards related to those causes, those parts that are related. You must learn those. If there's no further questions, we call it a day. Okay. Any other questions? I enjoyed your response and I enjoyed the time with you guys. I don't think if those of you who are graduating already, I'll see you for graduation. If those of you who are in your first sem, I will see you again in October for quality management and project management. That's all I'll be teaching you guys. I hope that all the best to those of you who are going through my last class. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Those who are doing your RP1 and coming up RP1, feel free to come and talk to me about your RPs. Okay.
Okay,
Doctor. Yeah, if you're interested in the area of project management, in the area of this contract legislation, you can come and see me lah.
Okay, Doctor, will do.
Okay.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So is this the last class that I'm going to have with you? I think you have gone through my other classes correct now. So
Wait a second. Is it in the last class? I don't know.
I remember you are sitting for my policy management class, project management class. You were answering some of the questions and you messaged me saying that you missed out on the
Yeah, correct. There was a last semester where I was off grid, totally off grid, no internet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this will probably be my last class with you guys. So, but I think with others, I'll probably see you guys again like Begami and Hafifi. Yeah. You've done my project management already. No, Khairul, you've done my project management already, right?
Not yet. Only QM.
QM only. Oh, you're part-time like that lah.
Yeah, part-time. Last semester joining.
Okay. So I'll see you again in October lah.
Yeah, sure.
All right. The rest. Oh, yeah. For those of you who are under my oral for 2nd of May, Alia and I'm not sure who else, but I'll post it out formally again in the group later on. But just to let you know, your oral presentation will be on the 2nd with me. How does that is presenting under me? Your oral presentation will be at 1 p.m. Okay, 1 p.m.
Okay,
Yeah, I have class in the morning that finish at 12. And by the time I ding dong back to my office, it will probably be about 12:30 already. So let me have a drink, have a break, and then I will do the presentation with you guys. Okay. So it will be on a first come, first served basis. Everybody will have about 20 minutes or so. So most of the time it will take up to about half an hour. 20 minutes to half an hour. So Alia, if you want to come in a bit later, don't be later than 1 o'clock. Must try to come in around 12:45 like that.
Okay, noted, doctor.
Okay. So anyone else under my oral? Anyone else here? It could be RP2 people maybe. RP3 no, right? Like a mix, no. I can see your name. I think the rest is no. Zakaria is very quiet. Which one is you? I mean, I've seen you guys in the class that day, but then.
Yes, doctor. I'm
Hey,
under Dr. Nazri.
Oh, you're under Dr. Nazri. Hey, exam time, I will see you all. Is actually so you to fly back. Buy your ticket already, right?
Already, doctor.
Okay. So yeah, you guys please make sure that you all are available on the 4th and the 5th of May for the exams. All right then. If there's no more questions, we call it a day and all the best. I'll see you in during exams. Okay, I'll try to help you as much as I can during exams, but in the end, whatever marks you get, you don't come and cry out. So have to do revision, okay?
Doctor.
Yes, doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much,
good
doctor.
exam. Have a good year ahead.
Thank you,
Okay?
doctor.
Thank you. Bye bye.